Hello. Right, I should be live. Hope I am. I've already shared it. I've already shared it everywhere. I've got 4 people. Oh, I've got 21 people watching already. And 5 likes. I haven't even started. Hello, guys. How are you? Just turn that around a little bit so I'm framed properly. How are you getting on? All right. I can hear myself, which means it's working on there. That's all right. Right, that's good. I've got Audacity running. Yeah, I tried OBS and it didn't work. Hey guys, I'm making just to let you guys know, I've had a bit of there's a little problem emerged with YouTube. It seems like loads of problems are emerging with YouTube, doesn't it? And this is something I noticed with the video I did with Rin Michaelis, the live stream. It's what happens is when you do a live stream on YouTube, if you've done one yourself, you'll know this, is that it is like goes live when it's finished. It's supposed to turn into a recording, just so like it's all the other. It's just like all the other YouTube videos, your standard YouTube videos. Now this used to take about an hour. If it was a 2-hour video, it'd take about an hour to process, 3 hours, a little bit more, etc. Now it takes over a day, and I don't know why that is. It takes even longer if you're using StreamYard. It literally took about a week for Rin Michaelis' own video on her own channel to process. So what I'm doing is I'm copying this on all just in case it completely messes up or I'll run out of patience. I'm recording an audio copy of this, which I can just put some illustrations on and just upload it to the other platforms. Because I like to download the recording, and put it on BitChute and Library. Anyway, hello everybody. Hello. Let me say a big hello to Nigel Strudwick, Crafty Nihilist, both of them. Hello, Crafties, both of you Crafties. Clopite, hello. And a big hello to BitChute in 2 words. Oceans in Space, hello. And Gary Robinson, how are you? Oh, I guess you're late now. About a minute late, I think. That's not bad. And also Ian Batchelor, hello Ian, how are you? And we have Woody Black, hello Woody Black. Hugo Rune, greetings. James Cousins. No reset, no second lockdown, no vaccines. Absolutely, I'll be covering all of that tonight, ladies and gents. Don't worry. That's very true. Hannah Craddock is there. Hi, how you doing, Hannah? Nice to see you. Al McCall, Safety Man 46045. It's great to talk to you. Hello, Stephen the Truth Seeker. Animal Auntie Bev. Hi, how you doing? Emma Lone. Hello. I had the name A Living Being. Oh yes, I remember you. Nice to see you guys. And David UK Splendid Isolation, a friend I know from Telegram and from the Japanmo radio chat box. And we have Aziraphale. Hello, Aziraphale. Do you watch Good Omens? Have you ever seen that? Are you? Because it's a character in that. I love Good Omens. Billy Shears. Hey, Billy. That's great. And how are you all? Yeah, I'm not bad, thanks, Hannah. It's good it's been a while since I did a live stream like this. I think it was actually the Disclosure Day one, I think. Let's have a look. I know that, yeah, it was the New York Times UFO live stream. Funnily enough, the Rin Michaelis one didn't count. I don't know why. Maybe because I use StreamYard. Let's have a look. It's on my uploads. It's the first Rin Michaelis. The first Rin Michaelis one has gone to my uploads. I don't know why, because I was using StreamYard, perhaps. But anyway, yeah, the New York Times live stream was the last one, which was in July. So yeah, I haven't done like a live stream like you with this. I mean, the one with Rin Michaelis was great fun. It was great to do it, but I couldn't interact with you guys really because it was like a one-on-one with Rin. Hello, Steve071. Emma Lone asks, what's happened to Eric Von Essex? I haven't. Let's have a look. I'll see how he is on Facebook. Let's have a look. Is everything all right with him? I haven't contacted him for a while. No, he posted a couple of days ago. Is his YouTube channel still gone at all? Is that a problem with him? Is Eric all right? Hello. Anyway, guys, this is the eve of this. Well, they're not calling it a second lockdown. They're actually they're referring to. Emma says, he's not been on YouTube. Oh right, I don't know, Emma. I'll try and find out because I know the guy. I've been on his show a few times. He's been on my radio show. I'll try and find out, Emma, how he is. Yes, it's Sunday. It's the 13th of September, which means it's the eve of what some people are calling lockdown 2. The government are saying it's not another lockdown. They're just imposing excessive extra nationwide restrictions to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, I've got a lot to say about that. I'm sure you do as well. And I'm going to go through some of those things with you this evening. Now, it's great you guys are all here. We've got 43 people now in the live stream, posting watching, who are watching, and I know a lot of you are posting comments, which is great. Feel free to post comments. I'm going to read a lead off. It's going to be a long lead off. This might be a long live stream. I mean, do you think we'll break the record? Because my record so far is 4 hours 5 minutes. I wonder if we're going to do it. Yeah, it's let's have a look. It's out. It was actually the World Disclosure Day live stream 2, which is 4 hours 5 minutes 55 seconds. We may break that this evening. I don't know, but it's I've got a lead off I'm going to go through, which is quite long, and then I'll take your questions and comments. But I can't go. I literally cannot answer all your comments. I'm afraid. I'm sorry for it because there's just too many. I mean, last time I tried to do that, it's pretty clear we could be in there till 3 a.m. It's because I want to answer your comments because it's really great you guys communicate with me, and I want to communicate with you. But you can actually help me by not posting comments directed at me during the when I'm reading the lead off, and it's going to be quite a long lead off. If you do that, I can then it lowers the volume of comments I have to deal with afterwards, and it also helps with like the de-trolling that I sometimes have to do. But anyway, yes, there's some new there's some new regulations beginning tomorrow, 14th of September, which the government are imposing, which I call it lockdown 2, even though the government refused to call it that. But it's all the details available on gov.uk, government publications, coronavirus outbreaks, FAQs. So first it says here, changes and restrictions announced on the 9th of December to come into force on the 14th of September. The government is going to put out new restrictions set into law, and the police and other enforcement officers will be able to issue penalties for those who don't comply. It's not gone through Parliament, has it? So it's not a statute. It's all this state. It's all sort of state of emergency things, anyway. So social contact. The rules will there's rules on who you can meet. Can you visit people indoors? Yes. There will be a legal limit on number of people you don't live with who you are able to meet. When meeting with people who you don't live with, you can socialize in groups of up to 6. You should continue to maintain social distancing with anyone you do not live with. There is further guidance, which includes details of exemptions, including larger households and support bubbles. How many people am I allowed to meet with outdoors? You can meet with up to 6. There will be new gatherings for legal limits for gatherings outdoors. I guess that puts an end to the bloody protest then, doesn't it? Of course, not the Black Lives Matter protests, of course, they're exempt. But I'm talking about the one like was in London where David Icke was speaking. I'm sure those won't be permitted. I'll tell you what, there's one I'm going to the one on the 26th anyway. I mean, they can. I know most people are just saying, sorry, I'm going to turn up anyway. You should continue to maintain social distance with anyone you don't live with. Can I use public transport, or if I'm seeing friends, or in a park, or going to my parents' garden? You can help control coronavirus by walking or cycling. You can use public transport or drive. If you use public transport, you must wear a face covering, and you also have to present your vaccination certificate to the driver. Oh, sorry, I'm getting slightly ahead. That was the government just is getting slightly ahead of themselves there. That's what they got planned coming up later. Can I share a private vehicle with someone who's not in the household? You should not try to share a private vehicle with those outside your household. It doesn't say you can't. You can have up to 6. Mind you, can't get more than 6. You usually get about 5 people in a car anyway. Can I stay overnight in someone else's home? Yes, you can stay overnight in someone else's home. All right. But from the 14th of September, there will be new legal limits on gathering sizes, which will mean you may only stay overnight in someone else's home if you do not form a group of more than 6 people. You should be sure to maintain social distances. Wash your hands and surfaces. Oh, God. Can I look after my grandchildren? Yes. People in group can meet in groups of 6. Is there a limit on the number of people attending funerals? There we go. God. The new legal gathering limit of 6 people, which will apply to come into force, does not apply to funerals. All right. Relevant premises will limit capacity based on how many people it can safely accommodate, with social distancing. We advise that funerals are limited to a maximum of 30 people. I remember the picture Richard D. Hall posted of his mother's funeral, with all the chairs spaced out. It was like it was Mastermind. Oh, it's horrible. It was bloody horrible. Yes, can weddings go ahead? Yes, wedding ceremonies, civil partnerships, and receptions are allowed to take place. But the legal gathering limits 6 people. Oh, God, blimey. Which will need to apply. Oh, my God, what? It does not apply to weddings. All right. When can I gather in groups of more than 6? Okay. There will be exceptions, which is where everyone lives together or is in the same support bubble or continue continue to work in the same household as both their parents for work or voluntary charity. Maybe if the organisers of the protest paid us 1 penny each, then technically that's work, isn't it? Yes. For education training, all right, yeah. So schools are still going to be open. Fulfilling legal obligations such as attending court or jury service. Providing emergency assistance for you or someone else to avoid illness, injury, and harm. Participating in children's playgroups. Attending weddings and civil partnerships. Funerals, where up to 30 people will be able to attend. Organised indoor and outdoor sport and physical activity. Youth groups or activities, elite sporting competition or training. But that I suppose doesn't include the footballing. I mean, it's been really awful. I mean, this football season, the last football season is over now, but bloody awful, wasn't it? I mean, watching, I wonder how the players felt. It was weird. It was like watching a school football match or something. I mean, that's the big difference between like a big professional football game and just an amateur game. It's the crowds. They were just on an empty bloody stadium. Look ridiculous. Does this mean no more than 6 people can be in a pub or restaurant at once? Venues following COVID-19 secure guidelines can host more than 6 people in total, but no one should visit in a group greater than 6. When you visit one of these places, such as a pub, a shop, leisure venue, or restaurant, or cinema, place of worship, follow the limits on the number of other people you should meet with a group. Avoid social interaction with anyone outside your group you're with. Even if you see other people you know, turn your back on them, walk away. Someone says, "Hey, Ben, how you doing?" Go away. Go away, you leper. You're going to infect me. Provide your contact details to the organizer so you can be contacted if needed to by the NHS Test and Trace Program. Yes. NHS Test and Trace Program. You guess what that's all about. Can I have a celebration for significant or ceremonial life events other than weddings? So, for example, it says here, christenings, baptisms, bar mitzvahs. More than 6 people are permitted to attend ceremonies for these events. However, celebratory receptions of up to 30 people are only permitted for weddings and civil partnerships. Oh, great. So, well, it's really important to limit the number of a large social gathering at this time, given the significant risk of transmission. Can I see my partner, boyfriend, or girlfriend, should you have one, if you do not live with them? Yes. People in an established relationship do not need to socially distance. How do they prove whether you're in an established relationship or not? What do they mean by an established relationship? If you're in the early stages of a relationship, you should take particular care to follow the guidance. Social distancing. All right. How will the new rules on gatherings be enforced? These rules will become law on Monday, the 14th of September. Well, they haven't been it's not statute. It's all part of this Coronavirus Act thing, which basically gives the government emergency powers. It's like the Patriot Act in the United States. This will enable the police to enforce these legal limits. If you break them, you could face a fine, a fixed penalty notice of £100, and doubling for further breaches up to a maximum of £3,200. Later this month, businesses will also be required to ensure there are no unlawful gatherings at their premises. All right. Anyone organising a gathering of more than 30 should face a £10,000 fine. That's how they're going to try and ban protests. But there'll be lots of ways around it. Don't worry. I mean, there'll be all kinds of. What I've read out to you so far, you probably guess there's going to be an awful lot of loopholes. Visiting public places, taking part in activities. Are there restrictions on how far I can travel? No, you can travel irrespective of distance, but take care of hygiene and safety precautions. It talks about cars and trains and public transport. The laws are slightly different in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Okay, so it depends which country you're in within the UK. Are day trips okay? Yes, etc., etc. Can I go on holiday or stay in my second home? Yes. However, you should not go on holiday in England with people you do not live with, who are not in your support bubble, in a group larger than 6 people. Yeah, I mean, this is a problem because the Lapis conference has been cancelled, which is sad but not unexpected. That is the, I went to the one 2 years ago. I was going to go to the one last year, but I couldn't. Well, no, it was last year in part of the St Anne's scene because Pro was finished. Lapis, the Lancashire Anomalous Phenomena Investigation Society, they hold an annual conference which I went to, and you can see the video on my channel if you want, which I recorded. But what happens if I become unwell? You go into the leper camp. What if I can't travel home? Oh, you should call 111 and discuss your circumstances with the NHS Direct. What happens if I'm on holiday in England and I'm contacted by NHS Track and Trace? Yeah, bang, 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 bang. They knock on your door and these guys with sunglasses are there. There was a person in the cinema you were in last week who's come down with coronavirus. We need to test you. Yeah. Do I have to follow those rules if I'm on holiday in another country? You have to follow the rules of the country you're in. Okay. And of course, when you come back, you end up with the quarantine, don't you? Can I visit outdoor tourist sites? What about indoor ones? Yes, you can still travel to outdoor areas like national parks or beaches. You should also be available to most indoor sites and attractions. Can I pray in a place of worship? Yes, Can I send my teenagers to their youth club? Yes. Can I go to the pub or restaurant with people I don't live with? When eating or drinking out with people you don't live with, you should keep, again, it's up to groups of up to 6 people, and you have to ignore anyone you don't live with. Can I register the birth of my child? Yes. Can I go to the theatre or concert? You can now attend indoor performances, musical, comedy shows, dramatic. If you're watching, you should sit with people from your household and support bubble, socially distanced from people you don't live with. All right. Will I be able to go to a football match? All right, this is interesting because, of course, the football season will be starting again soon. We've been looking into ways to reopen large venues such as sports stadiums. However, the government will review plans to pilot larger audiences in venues this month. Planned events will be limited to smaller, safer numbers with strict conditions to ensure social distancing. This is going to be, they're not guaranteeing they're going to open, the football's going to be available for public viewing in this coming season. Because the last one was a bloody misery, because then that's going to affect it. That's going to affect the sport because they depend a lot on sponsorship. And if no one's there, this is going to affect like sponsorship, brand visibility, which is going to affect sponsorship deals. Do I have to wear a face covering in public? Yes, face coverings are currently mandatory on public transport, shops, supermarkets, indoor shopping centres, all these other places. From the 8th of August, you will also be required to wear a face covering in a greater number of public indoor settings, such as museums, galleries, cinemas, and places of worship. Oh, God. You do not need to wear a face covering. It gives you some exemptions. In fact, there's all kinds of exemptions you can get. There's like a little exemption card you can get. I was talking about. I actually went to somewhere just before I did this live stream. I'll tell you about it in a minute. There we go. Going to work. Who is allowed to go to work? With the exception of the organisations listed in the guidance of closing businesses and venues, the government has not required any other businesses to close to the public. The thing is that most workplaces are not out of the first lockdown yet. I mean, I'm currently working only 3 hours a day. I know I'm self-employed, but the reason I'm only working 3 hours is because a lot of my clients are still working partly from home. In some cases, completely from home. So that's not changed. I mean, I know a lot of people are still working shorter hours than normal. I mean, most people are not furloughed anymore, but they're still, they're still sort of like sort of half in and half out of work. Do I need to stay 2 meters or 1 meter apart? Stay 2 meters apart. I wish they wouldn't use metric measurements. We're supposed to be post Brexit. 2 meters is just over 6 feet, and I always round it up to 6 feet. I don't do metric measurements. I think, honestly, just an aside, I think now we're out of the EU, and I know the deals are still going on and negotiations, which will go on probably to the end of the year, hopefully not any longer. I'll say more about that in the future. We should do away with decimal currency and bring back pounds, shillings, and pence. I'd love that. Workers' rights. My employer is asking me to come to work, but I'm scared. Yeah, I've actually just been talking to a guy. He's 63, and his boss was trying to make him come into work, and he refused. And apparently, if you do that, you can actually have, if you have an option in terms of the operation of your job to work from home, that is still open to you. And it says here, we urge employers to take socially responsible decisions and listen to the concerns of their staff. Employers and employees should come to a pragmatic agreement about their working arrangements. Employees should decide in consultation with their employees whether it's viable for them to continue working from home. Well, as we can know, and most employees are fine with that, yeah. You should wear a face covering on a bus or coach, train or tram, ferry or hovercraft or other vessel, aircraft, cable car, enclosed transport hub. But what? A ferry? What, a boat? What if it's like an open boat and you're on the open deck? You still have to wear a mask then? Maybe in Australia. You may have noticed Australia's gone full fash lately. Have you seen them? Have you seen what they're up to? God, they're awful. Right. Face coverings. It says this is interesting. A face covering is not the same as the surgical masks or respirators used as part of personal protective equipment by healthcare and other workers. So what's the point of wearing them then? Because, when I was a hospital porter, which I was, I think I've mentioned that before. I may have done. But if I was a hospital porter for 23 years. We used to do quarantines and things like that, and regular quarantine drills to protect yourself from viruses like of the kind that COVID-19 is. You actually, the surgical masks you see people wearing in operations, like in Dr. Kildare and things like that, don't work. Those are intended to protect a surgical patient from aerosols coming from your mouth or your nose. They're not intended to protect anyone from airborne viruses. For that, you need a mask which has a filter on it that resembles a gas mask. It actually has a very thick filter on it, and also goggles and a plastic suit which covers your whole body, and a hood which goes over your head. That's what you have to wear if you want to protect yourself from viruses like COVID-19. A little piece of cloth over your mouth is not going to do it. Will a face covering stop me getting COVID-19? Here we go. The evidence suggests that face coverings can help protect each other and reduce the spread of the disease. Really? Citation effing needed. So because I was always told that, I was told distinctly when you were doing quarantine for airborne viruses, you had to wear the getup that I just described. So how does something like this? How come this is all you need then? Oh, there's a story behind. I think you know the story behind the 2 + 2 does not equal 5. If you watched my protest, my COVID-19 truth protest video, which I uploaded a couple of days ago. Can I go back to university? Yes. All right. Well, that's going to help Oxford a little bit because you know, we've the city, of course, the university is like the centre of the city, and it's affected our industry and things like that. Borders, international visitors. Oh, are you isolating people at the border now? Well, not everyone. I mean, some people who turn up if you turn up in a rubber dinghy on the beach at Dover, you get put in a posh hotel. But if you turn up at an airport after a holiday, you have to go into isolation for 14 days. Oh my God! Fines up to £100 for failure to fill out a passenger locator form ahead of your arrival. Oh God. What rules do I need to follow if I'm visiting the UK? Okay. So that's a summary of the list. Obviously, this is not the same as the lockdown that ended a couple of months ago yet, but it's going to be reviewed in 3 weeks' time. What's more, there's going to be a very important bill that's going to be passed in Parliament, which you can actually write your MP against. Where's it? Oh God, my notes are in my bag. Hang on a sec. I've got some more notes that are in my bag because I went to an event. I went to an interesting event. It says here, look, coronavirus. Oh God, listen to this. This is from the BBC, of course. Avoid party weekend ahead of new restrictions, the public are told. That's the weekend that's just ending now because it's Sunday evening now. People in the UK must not treat this weekend as a party before the new rule of 6 coronavirus restrictions comes into force on Monday. Really? The Police Federation has said there's a real risk the public would take advantage of the current situation. What do you bloody expect us to do? What the hell do you expect? From tomorrow, it'll be illegal for more than 6 people from an extended household to meet indoors, but up to 30 can still meet outdoors. Oh, God. It's incredibly irresponsible. Here we go, yeah. There's a real risk some members of the public will take advantage of the situation just before these new rules and treat this weekend as a party weekend ahead of tighter restrictions being introduced on Monday. Using the current situation as an opportunity and excuse to party would be incredibly irresponsible and put pressure not only on policing but potentially on the ambulance service and NHS. What the hell do they expect us to do? They can sod off. I actually went to a picnic today. In fact, I got back just a couple of hours ago. It was in the university parks in Oxford, and I had a meeting with a group of people. Let me just get the notes. Hang on a sec. I should have got this before I started. Okay. Here we go. KeepOxfordshireOpen.com. This was a group. It's a local group. It's very nice to meet with these people actually, because I only knew one of the members, and she invited me to this. Now she's very much on our wavelength. She's one of the few people in Oxford I know who's kind of on our sort of, who's our kind of people. How do I call it? Loonies, you know. Tinfoil hatters. She's one of the few people I know in the city who's like that. And she's the woman I actually met I actually bumped into her because she went to see the Marlon Solomon show where he was basically slandering David Icke, if you remember my video on the subject. It was her. And she's actually part of this group. And she invited me to this picnic event with a load of other people as well. And they're all people I'd not met before. And Keep Oxfordshire Open. It's basically a campaign. Now they do like a regular campaign, a bit like the one I did on Thursday. They do it every Saturday in the same place, Bond Square, Oxford. And they make quite a lot of waves. And Peter Hitchens goes along there sometimes to talk to them and things like that. The thing is, I mean, I had a great time with them. They're lovely people, but I suspect that some of them are quite normy. You know, not all of them are sort of like quite as crazy as I am. And I don't think I'm too crazy for the group generally because I mean, obviously this person I know, this lady who was at the David Icke slagging off event, She's quite, I think she's quite sort of like, she's quite far out, you know. So they obviously, I think I would be okay with this group, but there were some other people there who just joined the group who were like really normal. There was one guy who's a scientist. His wife was there as a lawyer. We all sitting in a circle in the park, having a great time. We're getting on fine. But one of them said distinctly that I don't go into conspiracy theories and things like that. I really object to this lockdown very, very badly, and things like that. And I actually said to them, look, don't worry, we all of us probably disagree on an awful lot. However, you know, obviously it could be that I might rub some of them up the wrong way. Some of the more normal ones, I might rub up the wrong way. And I didn't do that event. Don't worry, I didn't mention the lizards. But of course, sooner or later, these things are going to come up. But it was still they were really nice people all the same, and I really got on well with them. We had a good discussion. It was very, very interesting, and it was very nice to get out there in the sunshine, meet with people. I mean, I reckon there were 1,000 people in that park. I mean, I don't know if you know University Parks, Oxford. There must have been 1,000 people in there, all of them behaving in an incredibly irresponsible manner. But what do they expect us to do? The weather was beautiful today. I think summer has given us a real grand finale. And we want to be able to go out and enjoy each other's company, because people don't like this. People don't like these restrictions. Even the most die-hard conformist person is against this sort of thing. Okay, so we have another bit of news here, which is related to this lockdown 2. I'm going to call it lockdown 2. I don't care, because when this is reviewed, we don't know which way it's going to go, because it'll be reviewed in 3 weeks. It could be the government will tighten it down, or it could be they'll relax it. It's more likely they will tighten it down, because it's this dreaded second wave, isn't it? And after the second wave, there'll be a third wave and a fourth wave. It's like bloody feminism. And of course, with each of these waves, maybe accompanied by a lockdown, or maybe at some point they'll have to find some other excuse. I don't know. But anyway, staying in Oxford, this news came out. Oxford University resumes vaccine trial after a pause. Now, it was paused. The trials of a COVID-19 vaccine being developed by AstraZeneca and Oxford University will resume after being paused due to a reported side effect in a patient in the UK. Well, what do you know? They actually had a side effect. I don't know. I listened to Dr. Cottrell, what's his name, Cottrell, with Stefan Molyneux the other day, and he was going through all this, saying the whole thing is complete. It's absolutely reckless what they're doing with this vaccine. And Cottrell's not like he's not as crazy as he's not as loony as I am. He doesn't believe like it's a bioweapon or anything. But he just says they are rushing this vaccine into production and into testing. They're not going through the proper safety procedure in terms of the trials. They're rushing through its trials. They're rushing it through into production, and there could be an absolute disaster from side effects. Because one of the people actually in the Oxford trial, I don't know who it was, because like someone who came up who spoke to me at the on Thursday. Did I report this? I can't remember if I reported it in the video, but she was a young woman whose boyfriend had been part of this trial, and he was okay. He was all right. But she was very, very skeptic. She was very much a skeptic. She didn't agree with anything I said, but we had a civilized discussion. But what's the name of the disease this person caught? I said I can never remember this, but transverse myelitis, yes. A volunteer in the UK trial has been diagnosed with transverse myelitis, an inflammatory syndrome that affects the spinal cord that can be caused. Oh my God! Now that you know what that means. Anything that affects the spinal cord is going to be painful. It's going to be very, very painful, and it could be debilitating, because it could affect, for example, it could affect your mobility and things like that. It could cause paralysis. And it's going to be extremely painful. And what's more, very often it's very difficult to get rid of. Once something affects your spinal cord, it's very difficult to get rid of. It's like this. I know porters who hurt their backs at work, like when they were portering, 20, 30 years. Nurses as well, 20, 30 years ago. They're still suffering now. And so this is very worrying. now they're resuming vaccine trials. Well, how long is the trials going to go? I mean, is it going to be a week, 2 days, or something before the AstraZeneca start handing it out to healthcare providers to give us? The details. Listen to the Dr. Cottrell interview, Stefan Molyneux, where he talks about how there could be millions of people who come down with side effects, and there's all kinds of other reasons why this is a bloody awful thing. Please do not let them vaccinate you. It's for all the reasons I talk about in my zombie video, which I did in Newcastle. But even if you don't believe any of that stuff, right? Even if you think I'm crazy about the American War College and about the cancer viruses and all that sort of thing and about the HIV, right? Even if you think I'm crazy about all that, just there's all kinds of other reasons why you shouldn't have this. Interesting. There's been a trial. Funny thing is, this is where you get bloody politics comes into it. And the fact that the whole world seems to be against Russia right now. It's almost like we're in Cold War II. There's been the Russian vaccine. It's funny because the vaccine has been developed with the Russian government in association with a Russian pharmaceutical company, and the World Health Organization is trying to block it. Why? Because you haven't tested it properly. It's not had its proper trial. It may not be safe. Well, they're letting these people here in Oxford go ahead. You see, they're saying all these things about the Russian vaccine, which they should be saying about the Oxford one, and they're not. Oh dear. Anyway, guys, that wasn't quite as long a. That was not quite as long a. Was not quite as long a lead off as I thought. Well, I'm just going to de-troll now. So just let me go. I'll just go through these. I'll say hello to any new people. Hello, Sandman, Safety Man. Sorry, Safety Man. Hello. And who else is here? I won't be able to answer all your comments. I'll try and answer the decent ones. Crafty Nile says, sick of this shit. I know. Crafty, I am too, yeah. Hannah Craddock, hello. Stiltskin, greetings. Crafty Nile says 666. Now, it's interesting, the 666 thing, because, it was one of the news reports on the new restrictions says, it was 6 people, 6 feet apart, and there was a third 6. I can't remember what it was, but it was odd how the 666 had come into it, doesn't it? Stilson says, "Can I still shag the missus?" Well, funnily enough, Stillskin. Let me just read. Let me just find something. I just remembered something. It actually came up on her Panmo Radio last week. I'm just going to find it for you because the answer might be yes, but you may not like it. Let's have a look. I didn't know. I didn't know I was going to get that question from you. So let me just find the details here. Where is it? There we go. Oh, where is it? Was it there? When was it? Hang on, maybe it's the show before. Hang on. Yeah, just a sec. Let's get rid of that. It's take a while. Maybe it's the previous show. Hang on. Here we go. Ooh, where is it? Ooh, where are we? Oh, here we go. Yeah. Dr. Teresa Tam says, wear a mask while you're having sex. Yep, there's your answer. There's a... So, Stiltskin, please pay attention. Dr. Teresa Tam said in a statement, she's Canada's top doctor. She says, there is little chance of catching COVID-19 from intercourse, but sexual activity with new partners does increase the risk of contracting the virus, particularly if there's close contact with the mouth and nose, like kissing. Like other activities during COVID-19, this involves physical closeness. There are some things you can do to minimize the risk of getting infected and spreading the virus. Skip kissing, avoid face-to-face closeness, wear a mask that covers your mouth and nose, and monitor yourself and your partner for symptoms ahead of any sexual activity. There you go. Dr. Teresa Tam, I bet you're single. I mean, what a turn-off is that? So the answer is yes, Stiltskin, but make sure you wear a mask and all those other things. So if you're still in the mood after that, well, what can I say? You're crazy. Anyway. Emma Lone says the government should not have a stay in it. Yeah. Steve Palmer says, Andy Thomas corrected you by saying COVID has not been shown to be airborne. Well, I think you put a comment on my video, Steve. which I'll cover in my comments reply video because I recognise your comment. I think you did that then. Okay. Count, aka Eric Hebeln. That's a good name. We can all be thankful that something has stopped mass shootings in the USA. Yeah. Steve071 got plenty of tins of beans. Oh, people say you could just get lots of canned food in just in case. I mean, if it ever gets to the point where we're like that, I don't know. I'll probably be out hunting and gathering anyway. Where are we now? I won't watch Tony Tiger Vice. I won't watch sports now. It's full of racist black people. Well, you know, Tony. Yeah, like everything else, you know, there's a lot of like anti. They don't like, you know, there's too many white people and things like that. So yeah, it's. Where are we? Where are we now? Okay. Armed Animal Anti-Bev. I was in Greece at the beginning of August. Very sane compared to over here. That's where you need to go then, yeah. Count Eric says the only way to get massive numbers that they did on the streets like they did in Germany. Yeah, even if these things don't actually influence political decisions, they boost morale when people see them. Yeah. Crafty Nihilist says, how does it know the difference between a wedding and a barbecue? Because it's a very crafty little virus, Crafty Nihilist. It knows all kinds of things. It knows when you're 6 feet apart or 5 feet apart. It knows when a child is outside the school gate and inside the school gate. Yeah. What chance do we have against a virus with brains like that? Legend Real, hello. Onslow, greetings. Crafty Nihilist, can I punch my neighbour in the face? If they really annoy you, Crafty Nihilist, and if it's lawful, yeah. Goonlove, fuck the NWO, yes. Quite so. Stephen, Christmas is fake, just like the government and its virus. Well, I've got a feeling that Christmas is going to be a little bit of a drag, isn't it, this year? J1, hello, says, who do you support, Ben? Well, in terms of a football team, I actually don't follow football very closely. I don't have a favourite team. I certainly am not like as religiously zealous about football teams as some people are. You know, I quite like it when the local team, Oxford United, does well. Stephen says, all those idiots who bought a season ticket. Oh, I'm sure I hope they'll get their money back. I really do. Season tickets are, you know, going to live football is damn expensive now. I mean, I gave up. I used to go along quite a lot. I gave up on it. Gary Robinson says, hey, Ben, mate, I've got an exemption card and no one messes with me. Yeah, you can buy them. They're about 90p. Apparently they are lawful. Or if you don't feel comfortable doing that, just wear this subversive mask. It's in a way, this may be a better idea simply because it gets people talking. It uses their rules against them, and it gets people talking. People will go to you, say, "Come on, this happened to me. This has happened to me." Ben, they say, I know 2 + 2 doesn't equal 5. I'm not stupid. I did, you know, I learned maths at school, mate. You know, yes. But it's saying that's the thing. Saying 2 + 2 does not equal 5 is the freedom from which all other freedoms emerge, George Orwell. And then you can, and after that, you can get them into other areas. Anyway, Stephen says, just for a cardboard cutout to watch them. Oh, yeah, I watch football on TV anyway. Israel Diego Rivera 2, Genius 2, says, I am furious with you, Ben. Well, you were always furious with me, Diego. And what is it this time? I guess it's something to do with Boris Johnson. Am I right? Or is it the British Bigfoot? It's one of the. It's either one of those or two of those. It's either that one or the other. I know. I'm sure you'll explain. Yeah, J1. I watched the highlights of the games, just not the same without the crowd. And the players must hate it as well. It must be really weird, Jay. It really must be. And I bet they didn't play as well. I bet you they didn't. Stephen says, David Icke was asked to wear a mask on the ferry. What did he do? Steve Palmer, Ben, how can you possibly get by working only 3 hours a day without claiming benefits? How do you manage to be self-employed with no ID, national insurance, or number of bank account? Well, I do have those things. I mean, do you remember my passport video? I I don't want to go too much into my finances because it's personal, but I am managing on with the 3 hours a day. It is 7 days a week, not 5 days a week. I'm working 5 days. I am working 7 days a week, so I'm not getting a day off, and it is basically getting me by, along with some savings I have, because that won't last forever. But I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. So that's it. And I do claim a benefit. I don't want to go into details about this, but I actually do claim a benefit, which is specifically for people in my kind of work. Stephen says viruses are not airborne. I've heard all kinds of things about a virus. How the virus is a red herring and things like that. There's Nick Collistrom's book, which I actually gave away. I put it in the charity library. But I don't know. I mean, as far as I'm happy with the idea that the disease is real. I just don't like the fact it's being used, all this Orwellian stuff's being hung on it. Jason Shawn, hello, Jason. And Jock of Ages, hello. Jacob Mothhole says, Ben, I need to send you some documents to explain everything. Mothhale, sorry. Well, BennyJ74 at gmx.co.uk. My email is on the website, on the Hanwo TV blog. Feel free to contact me if you don't already know me on Facebook. Someone who does know me on Facebook is Shannara's Ash Tree. Hey, Shannara, how are you, Shannara? I know Shannara by another name, but I know her on Facebook. So how are you? Yeah, Jock Ages, the hypocrisy is unbelievable. Yeah. Jacob Mothhale says, Ben, have you read the Global Preparedness Monitoring Board's A World at Risk report? No one wants to talk about this. Global, and it explains everything. Is that from the Centre for Disease Control and Prevention? Because Global Preparedness, they published other things about that. Yeah. Diego Rivera says Boris Johnson is a traitor. Unfortunately, he has been subverted, and it's a great shame. Although he has struck back a bit. Do you remember you probably put some comments on there, which I'll answer in the comments reply video, Diego Rivera. But Boris did strike back in terms of the proms and in terms of Brexit. And so, what was the other thing? I mentioned it on my. I did 2 articles on her Panmo Voice, and I'm publishing so much I can never keep up with it. Here we go. Boris, the TV license. Yes, he's attacked the TV license, and this is very, very important. And he's also says that he will maintain. He wants to maintain the schedule of the Brexit negotiations at any cost, and he's not taking no deal off the table. Now, this is an extraordinary thing. Now, I mean, I know you don't agree here, but I think Boris has been on our side, and he wants to be again. The reason he hasn't been, I think, has something to do with, I think maybe they threatened the baby or something. But no, I don't think he's a traitor in that respect. He has been subverted, but don't write him off. I mean, he's not the same. You can't treat him the same as you treat someone who knowingly and willingly betrays his people. He lied to them and then betrayed. No, Boris, I think, went into this with good intentions. He was the Trump. He got through against the will of the establishment. He got into office, and since then, things have happened to pull him back. This doesn't mean he can't pick it up. He can't pick up where he left off. Yeah. David Keith says, good that the virus knows to attack 7 people in my house, but not the 2,000 at the car factory. Yeah, it's crazy. Steve071 says, is Russell in quarantine? Now, Russell is immune from earth diseases, you'll be glad to know. Boris Johnson says, Boris says mask will protect you. I know, and he shouldn't say that. Roland says 5 deaths today. Is that from COVID-19? Or just generally? Jacob says, the people of lockdown under Australia. Oh, it's awful. Australia's gone full fash, hasn't it? New World Order, Zealand, Communist Canada, and the USSA. Yeah. And your United Kingdom are in for something fierce if you don't wake up before the 19th of September. Yeah, that date, the 19th of September, keeps coming. It's next Friday. Yeah, no, Saturday. Yeah, I was told Friday the 18th, but I've heard about it. Someone sent me this thing about that. Yeah. I don't remember all the details, but you say email at me by all means, Jacob. Diego Rivera says Ben is a normie. Oh my god. You're the only person who's ever called me that, I'll tell you. Stephen, the lizards on the moon is made of cheese. Oh, thanks, Crafty. Crafty's given Jacob my public email. Thank you very much. Thanks, Crafty Nihilist. Jacob says, you predicted the zombie apocalypse with a sick twist. The zombies all have all the guns. Well, I'm interested to see what you have to, because global preparedness is interesting. Even that phrase has been used before. You know, Dr. Ali S. Khan and his stuff. Emma Lone. Where are we now? Let's just flick to the bottom. Oh, God, hang on. Where was I? Yeah. J1, you know it's a deadly virus when the main symptoms is not having any symptoms, yeah. Yeah, Jay, there's new things coming on the 18th, and what they do, this Keep Oxfordshire Open thing, they're telling people to write to their MPs before the 18th. I mean, even though it won't do any good. Annalisa Dodds is a complete, utter centrist clone. That's my MP. But it's the principle of it, you know. I think it's the principle. But I've heard about that, yeah. Woden says, I've had it with no symptoms in April. Some people do. Did you have the antibody screening? Jacob says, this exercise will go into the second wave where nations lock down in reaction to a possible purposely released pathogen. Oh, right. The newest Rockefeller doc points to the 19th. That's interesting because, of course, I believe that the coronavirus is artificial. I explained why in my previous videos, like the last live stream I did. The fact that it was on the laboratory in Wuhan, it emerged from there. I don't think it was a deliberate release, because if it was deliberate, it would have emerged in different places throughout the world. They just spread it around a bit. It all came from that one spot. So it's probably an accidental escape of this virus. It just goes to show, you know, how irresponsible bioweapons are. So bloody irresponsible. You know, I mean, when you're developing them and they just escape like that. And Jake Woden says, my key worker wife had it. Yeah. I had it and got over it. Now, people are being reinfected, which means it's mutating, which means it may be here to stay. And we have horrible hairy toes. Hi-ho and jolly well code. Yeah. Yarlan says, has the Russian virus trials paralyzed someone yet? I don't know. I don't know, Yarlan. But if it does, you can be sure the WHO will say something about it, whereas they won't care. If the Oxford trial doesn't, they won't give a damn. Well, this person's got this awful disease which is very unpleasant. David Keith, how you doing? Kloppite, Ben, in your opinion, who's really behind COVID? Some agency or a bat in China? Well, they're both. Kloppite. It's created in the laboratory. This laboratory is actually linked to its various international biological warfare programs, including the United States. The US apparently does not have a domestic biological warfare program, but it can outsource these things these days. You can outsource these things, and indeed, this laboratory is used for military purposes. It's a general virology and microbiology laboratory, but it has like a government contracts and things like that. And it's likely that something happened. It certainly wasn't from the market. I mean, it's all being blamed on this damn market where they eat all kinds of horrible things. I mean, I know that in China they have people say, oh, I know Chinese, they eat like egg fried rice and spring rolls and things. Yeah, that's the Chinese restaurants here in outside China. But if you go to a indigenous Chinese restaurant in China, you might find the menu slightly different, and it may not be to your taste. And it's all being blamed on that, which is ridiculous. I mean, it's what you have. You have a biological warfare research facility and a market next door, and they're pointing their fingers at the market. Come on, do they think we're stupid? BitChute, I just feel sorry for one of the 7 dwarfs. I saw the meme from Snow White where she wakes up in the bed and all the dwarfs are at the foot of the bed, and she says, "I'm sorry, 2 of you have to leave." Funnily, no one's asked me about this object behind me yet. Normally, you're fascinated by the contents of my bedroom, but no one's asked me about this, which is really quite something. BitChute, seriously, which one of the dwarfs is going to get fucked off? Oh yeah. Crafty Night, stop kissing. That's what prostitutes do. Yes. I'm not speaking from experience. I've never actually been to a prostitute, even when I've really felt the need to. But yeah, it's quite horrible. I mean, Stephen Molyneux reports this one bloke who he went to a prostitute basically because he didn't have a girlfriend, he never had sex, so he lost his virginity to his prostitute. And she was just really horrible to him. She said, "Oh, get on with it, will you? I'm not your girlfriend," and things like this. And he felt really upset by that. And so that's what we're now reduced to, aren't we? This is another way, takes love and intimacy away. Yes, it does, Crafty. As I said in my speech on Thursday in the centre of Oxford, we are now more cut off and more isolated from each other than ever before. I know there are people, most of the people I know are single, including myself, are not in a long-term relationship with anyone. Families hardly see each other. The nuclear family is kind of breaking down. More and more parents are getting divorced for various reasons. The grandparent generation is being abandoned and not being brought into the family. Children are being more in daycare. And it's true, there was this heartbreaking interview with this old lady who'd not spoken to anyone within a week. She lives in a city. There's 69 million people in this country. Why should anyone be alone? But we are. And this sort of thing just makes the existing problem worse. And it's a problem for us. It's not for the elite who want to cut us off from each other. The powers that be, the Illuminati, they want us separated from each other. I could say so much about relationships and things. I have done in the past about how these things are politicized and they're perverted and they're destroyed. Jacob says in all the countries where the terrorism is rampant are in false flag overdrive because as a population lets such hits as the Christchurch massacre and 7/7 bombings happen unquestioned. CNN syndrome. Now, the 7/7 bombings, I mean, I've read Nick Collistrom's book and it's as dodgy as hell. Is the Christchurch massacre was that also faked in some way? Because I know Vinnie Eastwood did some programs about this and I didn't buy it. Funnily enough, the guy, was it Brenton Tarrant, he went and pleaded guilty. Yeah, 2 big families of more than 6 can no longer get together. It's awful. And I bet what you want to bet in 3 weeks, is it going to get better or worse? What do you reckon when they review it? Steve Palmer says Ben's mask looks remarkably like Alan Duncan's ectoplasm. Yes. Harry Price has been taking black and white photos of me all day. Jacob says it's no coincidence New Zealand, Australia, UK are terror capitals of the world. They can get away with anything if it's on the telly. Yeah, Bill Hicks was going, we're the puppet people. Put it on the TV, it's true. Yeah. Here we are now. Diego Rivera, when are you going to apologise for supporting Boris? I'm not going to apologise for supporting him. We've had this conversation already. I'm not going to, because I do support him in his quest to regain the power that he's lost. I just hope there are people on his side helping him. You've got to realise, I take a very different view from you and others, people like Caroline Stevens, who say things like, Boris he was fooling us from the beginning. It was all an act. And you fell for it, Ben. Right? I don't believe that is the case. I know he's not playing the game he should be right now. He has been subverted. But he can regain the ground he's lost. I believe he can regain the ground he's lost. I'm not going to apologise for supporting him. I've told you this before. I really would. I'm going to tell you this before. Boris is a traitor and a tin pot despot. Diego Rivera, it'd be nice to have some kind of conversation with you over this matter, which meant that when I responded to a point you made, your reaction was not simply to repeat a point you made before. Because that's all you do. You just repeat the same points. I answer them, and you just go back and repeat the same points again. It's like you can't hear me. Crafty Nile says, where'd you buy an exemption card? It's here. It's where is it? Some good information. laworfiction.com. WP content uploads face covering exemption notice. 24th of July 2020 PDF. Do you want to have a look at this? Have a look at this. I don't know if you could see it. We'll just go to this website, keepoxfordshireopen.com. They got all the links there. Diego Rivera, COVID-19 has no accurate test. Well, it's funny, that you see, my brother tested negative for the antibodies, even though he was ill and he was living with people who definitely got it, and he had all the symptoms. It's weird. David Schultz says, the author Ernst Junger of dystopian classic predicted the use of masks to enforce conformity 70 years ago. I've heard of that. Zero Nedge. I've heard of Ernst Junger. Where have I heard of that name? Ernst Junger. It's spelled Junger because it's like his German name, I think. Ernst Junger, author, entomologist, became right. He wrote a World War I memoir, Storm of Steel. 29th of March 1895, 17th February 1998. He was quite old when he died. 102. Okay. I've heard his name before. I didn't know about that. So that's interesting, David. Thanks. Huge arsehole says, who's taking their vaccine? Hands up, everybody. Hands up who's having your vaccine. Yarlan Zay says, but you can protest in groups of 6 from Monday. That's one of the ways I think we're going to get around it, I think, Yarlan. Because what happened is we just sort of bunch in groups of 6 and we sort of walk up and down and say we're just getting our exercise in groups of 6. There's all kinds of ways we can get around it. I'm gonna on the 26th. I'm going. I mean, I think most people, everyone I know who says they're going on the 26th is still going. So there. Woody Black says Millennial Woes is on D Live. If you're in 8 p.m., it's his first. Is he? Is he back then? Because he's Woody Black. If you're not familiar with him, he's a guy who's he's a YouTuber who's recently been very depressed, and he's been suffering from a nervous breakdown, basically, and he may be making a comeback, which is something. Yeah. Steve071, Ben, isn't the virus very picky? It don't like small groups or folks walking in the streets unmasked, but it'll have a go at masks, choppers, or masked groups of us. Yes, indeed. It said it's an intelligent virus. You see. Diego Rivera says it will not be a large protest. Well, there were 35,000 last time. What about channel Full Moon Ancestry? All right. Emma Lone says, "Oh, is that the D Live one?" Okay. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do a D Live stream at some point because I've got an account there and I should use it because who knows what YouTube are going to do next? Even if they don't ban me, they may put me they disable my account so I can't do live streams or something. At the moment, D Live is the only other thing really that can provide there's things such, I think Entropy you can do live streams, but I'm going to do a D Live live stream at some point. The problem with bloody D Live is you can't download the recordings, and they only, if you have the basic free account, they only keep the recordings for 5 days. You can't download them, so anything I do on there will be lost unless what I'm doing at the moment. I've got Audacity running, recording what I'm doing now, just in case YouTube really, for some reason, something goes wrong with this particular recording. Because we know YouTube has actually been banning live streams halfway through that discuss the little C word, haven't they? You know. So that's another reason I'm recording it. But if I do, I'll put up a notice if I do one on D Live. I will. But I think I'll check out that D Live channel, Woody Black, and I'll listen to Wozy after this because he's probably just started. Yeah. Yeah, Emma Lone says we've been unable to attend venues when the vaccination is required. As I've said before, there may be you might have this mark of the beast, something attached to your wrist or something which says you've been vaccinated. Probably a microchip under your skin. The plan is so they scan you, and if you've been vaccinated, something will go off, and if you haven't, it's back to the leper colony, guys. Something like that. Stilt skin. Oh, it's clicked to the bottom again. Oh, I wish it wouldn't do that. Stiltskin says the government are offering people £400 to take the COVID test, paying people to find COVID sufferers. What a shit pandemic. Yeah, you know what? Stiltskin. That's a right mugs game. I wouldn't care if they could pay me 40,000. They could pay me 400,000. I wouldn't do it. It's not worth it. Horrible Hairy Toes says something in Unwinese, which he's something about Boris Johnson. Oh God. Boris Johnson, Borreley Johnsol. Crafty Knight says you can protest in lumps of 2 meters apart, another lump of 6. You get the idea. Yes. We just need a lot of tape measures as far as I think we can have some fun with that, Crafty. I'm definitely going. I don't care. I'm going. Yeah. I have to skip a few of these. I'm sorry, I can't. Jarl and Zay said, I see the proms went ahead, including the very dangerous wind instruments and a singer. Yeah, they actually did have the singers in the end, Jarl. I mean, there was the BBC band. Typically, they banned the vocals during the last night with the patriotic songs, and of course, I know there were no people in the audience, but there was going to be a choir singing it, and then, strangely enough, but there was a massive outcry from people, including myself, who said this is disgusting. And it was all the usual reasons. It's racist. It celebrates slavery and white privilege and whiteness and stuff like this. It's all the usual Guardian Easter rubbish. And then Boris Johnson turns up and he says something very weird. He said he basically stood up at that. He said he said this. He protested about this, but he said that somebody was trying to restrain me from saying this when he actually stood up against the BBC. Who's restraining him from saying this? He's the bloody Prime Minister, isn't he? I think, is he suggesting there are higher powers in the world dealing with this sort of thing? Because if that case, then Diego Rivera, you should pay attention to this, because it means that he's giving out a coded message to warn us. So don't give up on Boris yet. And in fact, Boris Johnson, the way he's attacked the TV license and things like that, and the fact that last night the proms was performed as normal as can be when there's no audience. They did have a choir singing the patriotic songs, Land of Hope and Glory, Rule Britannia, etc. They were there. Of course, it's not the same without the audience, I know. Bitchu says, Ben, regarding your Führer, there's being positive, there's being delusional, be real. What are you talking about? The plebs of the virus. Well, I think the powers that be, the Illuminati, regard humans as just one more species of farm animal. They really do. Skip a few. Sorry, I've got to skip a few comments here. I'll never get through them. Huge Arsehole says, Bill Gates has a special place in hell waiting for him. Yeah, definitely. Did you see that graffiti from Melbourne, Australia that turned up? It was Bill Gates holding a injection syringe saying, it's time for your update. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. That's gone viral, that has. Stephen says it's bullshit, mate. There's no virus that's airborne. Okay. Emma Lone, lockdown is depopulation agenda. I think it's a dry run, you know. I mean, because the thing is, as I explained on Thursday, it's like a prison. You know, when you're in a prison, you're allowed to wander normally around. You know, there's different areas. There's the general prison population. You're locked in your cells sometimes, and then you're allowed to go to the. You're allowed to go and eat your dinners, and you're allowed to out in the exercise yard to walk up and down, or walk in a circle. But then there's like solitary confinement where you're locked up away from all the other prisoners and things like that, or you're put in a separate wing. And essentially, these prison-like rules are being applied to the general population now. That's it. Emma Alone, 1984 and Brave New World mixed. Yes, those two books, incredible. And of course, you probably already know, it's a well-known anecdote that Aldous Huxley was George Orwell's schoolteacher. Jamie Howe. Hello, Jamie. I'm trying to explain the predictive programming about the BLM performance on Britain's Got Talent. Oh, God, yeah. I suppose it was a mostly peaceful performance, was it? Where are we now? Steve Palmer says, come on, Ben, I've seen your videos. At least 2 rang out that you do have used I haven't had anything to do with prostitutes. No, I haven't. I don't know where you got that idea, Steve. Hugh Jarsel says segregation. It is segregation, isn't it? Yeah. It's where you have like signs saying certain people can go here, certain people can only go there. Masked people go here, vaccinated people go there. Yeah. Diego Rivera says there is evidence Trump has genital herpes. That is why Melania looks unhappy. Really? Where's the evidence? I'm intrigued to know how you got hold of that. Crafty Nana says, I don't care about any item in your bedroom except Bungle. Please put a mask on him for my amusement. Oh, Bungle. I don't know if a mask would fit on Bungle. That's just that's the sign on my head. It's just on my headboard. It's like, oh, that's where I sleep. Yeah, this actually is it's a clothes horse. I'm just drying my clothes. I actually do that in my bedroom. I just been washing and doing some laundry, and yes, I do that. I am clean. Tink 123. Hello, Tink. How are you? No, don't worry about being late. Onslow says, closer it gets to the US election, maybe things will go up a notch. Onslow, you've just predicted a future live stream I'm doing and other videos as well. Yeah, definitely. Tink123 says, Boris is a white hat. He works with POTUS. Yes, Tink. Yeah, you see, Diego Rivera and other people like that, I think they expect miracles. In fact, let me just go through. Diego Rivera left me a rather rude message. Where was it? Here we go. Here we go. Where was it? Oh, I might as well go through all these. I might as well go through all of these comments. Right, I forgot to go through these comments now. Yeah, Diego Rivera says Boris Johnson is a despot who has done this to stop the protests. You should apologise, Ben, for supporting him. He should be deposed. He's a traitor. Again, I'm not going to repeat myself, Diego Rivera. You have my answer to that. And Horrible Hairy Toes, I think, stands up for me in Unwinese. Yes, that's good. Ronald Harris, virtual girls chat online. Oh, good grief. I'm not going to delete that. I'm deleting this video anyway soon, so I'm not going to bother deleting that comment. But someone obviously has got a bit of predictive programming. I was going to talk about prostitutes. Okay, Horrible Hairy Toes says something about we could have intelligible crystal creel confabula. Oh, yes, you can. Yes, I hope you find it intelligible and crystal creel. Woody Black says, is that Nadsat from Clockwork Orange? You know, like Droogs. It's similar. It's a constructed dialect. Yeah, it's Nadsat is a similar thing. If you watch Clockwork Orange, you'll know that the characters speak in they have a very strange language of their own called Nadsat, which is it's a constructed dialect which includes all kind of childlike terms and also a few Russian words as well. Like Droogs is basically Russian. It's a Russian for friend. They have this thing called horror show, which is actually a corruption of Orosho, which means wonderful in Russian. And there's several other things like that, sort of Russian or pseudo-Russian words. Unwinese is something created by the comedian Stanley Unwin, of who Horrible Hairy Toes is a big fan. Which is it's a constructed dialect, but it's just for fun. It's basically a comedy thing. Yeah. So that's the comments in the notice of upcoming round. Now, where was I? Yeah. Where was I? Oh, yes. Tink saying Boris is a white hat. Yes, he does. Tink. Thing about it is people like Diego Vera and all the other people who go on about Trump, the Trump betrayal and things like that. They expect miracles from these people. They expect them to act like they expect them to be dictators. Thing is, the whole democratic system is designed so that no one person can do that. There's no one person can have too much power, and maybe in the current situation that's a disadvantage rather than an advantage. When you have decent people in charge like Boris and like Trump, maybe they need more power than they have. But I think that the problem that what these guys have done, they're in there doing their best, and they need our support. I don't accept what Diego Rivera says. I don't accept what Caroline Stevens has said. I think they're both mistaken, and I think that if it's going to get anywhere within this system, we have to be aware of that. Be aware they're attacking with a wind behind them. They're not going full steam ahead. They have to work with other things. Trump has the entire establishment against him, including the judiciary. The courts are completely occupied by the deep state. All of them deep state agents. They tried to get rid of Brett Kavanaugh, didn't they? You know why? Because they've been running the bloody courts. And Boris has it even worse. At least Trump has his own executive branch on his side. He has the military on his side. Boris is being controlled by his own bloody cabinet. So, I mean, this is it. We got to, whenever we have these people who promise something, we know they're on our side. We know they're white hats, as you call them, which is a good name. And then they get into office and then everyone expects them to wave a magic wand and end the New World Order. And when that doesn't happen, they go, "Oh, Boris is a traitor. Boris is this. Trump's working for the other side, really," and things like that. But that's not what happens. That's not how it works. It's not going to be that easy. So, Onslow, closer it gets to the US election, things will go up a notch. Absolutely, yes. And I'll be covering that. Very soon. I've got a feeling there's going to be another live stream soon because I want to say a few words when we get the results of the Julian Assange extradition hearings at the moment, because that's probably going to be next week. Woody Black, where is it? Woden says nothing would change at a poll tax moment. I remember the poll tax, yes. One of the first things I did actually was I went to a anti-poll tax protest when I was like a kid at school. Yeah. Woody Black says, "Oh, the actual channel was on his counter currents on DF." Oh, right. Yeah. I thought he was something about that. I mean, I follow him on Telegram and he said something about counter currents. That's old Greg Johnson. I was watching a video about Greg Johnson actually because he was spied on. A spy got in and kind of like exposed him and things like that. I don't agree with those kinds of tactics. I mean, whether you agree or disagree with somebody, denouncing them as evil and using like immoral tactics against them is unfair. As I said, I don't think either of these people are evil. Think 1, 2, 3. Everything's going to change beyond your wildest imaginations with Nassara and Jassara law. Yeah, Amazing Polly did some videos on that. That's several other people. I mean, I'd like the QAnon thing. I've looked into it as best I can. I think it's real. I think there's reality behind it. It doesn't mean everything that the Q posters and QTubers come out with is real. I hope this is. Well, the thing is, it has to be, because really, the debt situation is so bad that it cannot be paid off. There's not enough raw capital in the world to pay all the credit off, and in fact, the credit exceeds the capital many times over. I think more by more than 1,000-fold. Excuse me. Someone said something about Bill Hicks. Where was it? Oh, George Carlin. I love, yeah. And a BitChute says, "What I wouldn't give to see a Bill Hicks 2020 stand-up special." Oh, he died so young. He's only 32. Yes. Oh, I wish he was still around. And George Carlin too. Yeah. I can almost start imagining what kind of jokes he would tell. Yeah. Oh, where are we now? I got to. Sorry if I skip someone's comments. I'm sorry. I'm glad you're feeling more optimistic, Tink. I really am, because I mean, I'll say more about this probably in the run up to the election, because I'll be covering the election in detail. But basically, I don't think there's going to be an election, to put it in a nutshell, because there's some bloody. Well, I'll say more at the time, but notice the obsession with postal voting. If you listen to listen to the Third Rail Radio and the Mindset podcast, which I also do on, and I'll go into that in more detail. I'll be covering it in more detail on YouTube too. Crafty Nihilist says, "Did Caroline block you, Ben, or did I just make that up? Why is she throwing a dummy out of the pram?" Crafty Nihilist, yes, Caroline blocked me. I don't know why. I just discovered she just sent me a very garbled message about something, and I contacted her on Telegram, and I said, "What's going on?" She gave me an explanation that made no sense at all. And from what I've heard, she's done this to other people as well. I've listened to several people, including the Wake Up UK Brigade and people like that, say Caroline has blocked them. I don't know what's going on. I know that Caroline she's been saying an awful lot about how she doesn't trust other people within the movement. She suspects they're like controlled opposition. I think it's very easy. The thing about this is part of my. I've said this about Richard D. Hall. Controlled opposition exists, and it is a real threat. Yet, if you become overzealous in that department, you end up doing more harm than good. And as you see, this is like, I really do caution people against becoming obsessed with the threat of controlled opposition, because you start seeing shills under your bed, basically. And this is what Caroline has done. This happened to Caroline. I'm sorry that's happened. I respected Caroline a lot. I was fond of her, and I did a lot. I collaborated with her on several projects, and I hope that she sees sense. I really do. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with her actually right now. But I assure you, I am not controlled opposition, and neither are most or all of the other people she's blocked. Right, what's now? Blah blah. Just skipping a few. Sorry, guys, got to skip. And we flick down again. Another flick down. 66 people watching. That's good. Emma Lone says, "I'm in a small rural town and they're truly scared. I'm only on a bus for minutes, so I do them the courtesy." And this is a reply to Emma, who says, "I'm exempt, but nobody asked. I have no lanyard. I wear on the bus so as not to get the elderly a heart attack." There's this lady I know, she's quite an old lady, who I speak to regularly when I'm at work. She's quite nice looking for her age, actually, and I sort of quite fancy her a bit. She's really nice. She's friendly, and whenever I pass her, she sort of like she sort of stands back from me and puts her mask on, and I say, "Look, we're in the open air." She knows me quite well. I mean, we've known each other for several years, and it's really weird how but she's terrified. She's absolutely terrified. And she's very normy. She's very normy, like, Sunsets and Music says, "Hello." Oh, hello, Sunsets and Music. How are you? Say they vax killed every person on the planet. What would happen to our souls if we were wiped out? Well, the Earth, obviously, we would continue in another form somewhere else. The Earth would carry on without us. The Illuminati, though, I don't think want to get rid of everyone. I think they want to mutate some of us into monsters so they can use us as slaves. That's their plan. We'd be like the Epsilons in Brave New World. Very low intelligence, only living for 20 years. Genetically modified to just do almost nothing. I think what I'll do is the Nisara and Jasara stuff I will cover in the future as we get closer to the election. I'll cover that definitely. Now, Tink, what do you reckon? The thing is, next year we're going to have Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. It's supposed to be in July. Now, I got a feeling, it depends on what happens with the election, but at some point she's going to probably get COVID-19 and die. What do you reckon? Oh, shut up, Diego Rivera. Boris Johnson is the Antichrist. Honestly, man. How ridiculous is that? How ridiculous. Tink says, Boris and POTUS will go down in history as the greatest leaders of all time, and the Q plan will be studied in future classes. All debts, mortgages are going. I think so, Tink. I really do feel hopeful. I do about the QAnon thing. I feel hopeful for it. I mean, I know there are fake Q posters. I know some people have dismissed QAnon completely. Kev Baker, you know, he's convinced the whole thing's a hoax. I've watched his shows on the subject. I've looked at both sides of the QAnon thing, and I think there's some reality behind it. And I've explained why. I've done several videos about QAnon, and obviously, I really hope that this all comes true. As for Trump and Boris, yes, they are certainly the statesmen in the current world I admire the most, and they're the statesmen I not only admire the most in the current world, but any statesman I've ever known in my lifetime. Definitely. Hello, Loving Life. I like your name. Eman Padima's here. Hello. You can't go to the rally in Trafalgar Square, Eban. No more. He says you're committed on going on a trip to Scotland with your BBC believing parents. All right. Well, you know, Eman, I'm sure you'll be there in spirit. And you know, just to see if you can red pill your mum and dad. I mean, I've given up on my dad, but you never know, you might be. Okay. Steve071, is Boris going to get Brexit done, Ben? I think so. Well, Brexit has happened, as you know. I did a video on the Brexit night. The negotiation process to build a new relationship with the EU as an independent state is supposed to finish on New Year's Eve. It looks like, you know, the Brussels is currently probably doing their usual. They're sticking their heels in and they're throwing spanners in the works to try and get a delay. The reason they want a delay is they want to make the whole thing unworkable, so that something like a rejoin alliance will emerge before the next general election here. And you could bet something like that will happen. Because, you know, as Verhofstadt says, you know, the door is open. You could always come back. But the good news is that the recent thing, that what Boris is doing, unfortunately, this is the problem. He can't get Parliament to back him up. Because even his cabinet don't support, you know, are working against him on this. He wants to go ahead. He wants to press Brussels for this new this subsidy deal, because what he wants to do is he wants to allow Britain to subsidize British companies in terms of exports to Europe. And Brussels say, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. It's not fair. And Boris says, yes, it is fair. We're going to do it. If you don't like it, we'll go WTO. 31st of December, we're out. And of course, the bloody Barnier, the negotiator in Brussels, is going nuts now. He's biting his nails because he's actually facing a bloody British Prime Minister with a bit of balls, and he can't stand it. I mean, it's a bit of a shock when he lost Theresa May, because he had her wrapped around his little finger, didn't he? Where are we now? Loving Life, Brexit is BS. It's got a clause that removes our human rights. I'd like to know more, Loving Life, but from what I've seen, I've looked into this in detail, it's nothing of the sort. Eman Padima says Boris is completely compromised. He's not completely compromised, otherwise he wouldn't have done what he's done with the BBC and with Brussels in his negotiations. But it's pretty clear he's not having everything his way. As Ian R. Crane says, you know, Boris is not in charge right now. He's doing what he can. I said this, look, don't expect miracles from him. Dink says, Brexit is all done. They're releasing the World Trust Fund money. There's enough money in that to fund every human to have £10 million. It doesn't touch the balance. No more poverty. Yeah, Tink, I'm glad you're such a white pill. You really are. It's nice to have one of you in chat. But now, the thing about eliminating poverty is it's obviously the financial revolution that will come from the Jubilee is a step towards that. But it will take other things. It will take disclosure. I'm talking about UFO disclosure and things like that, and many, many other things that a lot of the Q posters won't go into right now. So, I mean, I'm coming at this from all angles. I'm not as like an average QAnon supporter. I see it from other things. I do. E-Man says Trump is at least token resistance. Boris might not have been at first, but he's caved. Yeah, E-Man, you're more generous to him than Diego Rivera is, and you're right to be. The thing is, but he can. But if we just turn our back on these people because they don't do absolutely everything we want when we want it, then this is going to be worse for them. You've got to stick by them, give them a chance. Oh, Andrew Slice is sending love and light and balance, brother. Thanks. Boris's white hat. Yes, said Tink. Yes, Theresa May worked for the cabal. She certainly did. Crafty Nala says that French Prime Minister took off his mask and coughed all over the place, then put it back on. Well, Macron, I can't stand him. He's horrible. He's like that horrible guy Justin Trudeau they've got in Canada. I swear those two are clones. They look so similar. I don't know what's up with the French, man. They had an opportunity for their own Trump, Marine Le Pen. Marine Le Pen would have been their Trump and Boris. What happens? They choose this little bloody gimp, this little soy boy, controlled by his bloody Mossad wife. Oh. Tink says the cabal has been running for decades, up until 2016. Yeah, 2016, that was the year when everything changed. That's when they really lost control. Andrew Slide, don't think we would have got any Brexit. Well, it wasn't going to happen. It was never planned to happen. When David Cameron announced the referendum, he never thought for 1 second, because he thought he had everything under control. He needed to offer something to basically neutralise UKIP. And he did this thinking he could make it work. And of course he didn't, because the deep state doesn't have this power it used to have. Yeah. Where are we now? Just going to get through a few of these. Sorry. Mark Robinson. Hi, Mark. Boris Johnson is nothing more than a puppet, a tool for the hidden hand, as is Trump and the rest. Prove to me there is a virus. It's still not proven 6 months on. Prove to me. Well, I don't agree with you about Boris. As for the virus, I mean, that's a difficult question. I don't have all the answers. I'm currently treating the virus as I'm currently treating the situation as the virus exists. And it's a genuine illness. However, it doesn't justify the massive, horrific state of emergency that's been brought on us. I mean, it's done more to change the world than 9/11, definitely. Fabian Moon, hello. How are you? Fabian says, I've been here all along. Oh, good. And Crafty Snarly says, real virus or not, the control is still happening. Well, that's a good summary of my position too, Crafty. Tink123 says, trial on TV next year, 2021, which is a jubilee year under the Torah God's law. Well, I certainly hope there will be trials and things like that. Obviously, Q has been promising this for a while, and I do hope that this obviously that happens. Is it a jubilee? I mean, I know that there's like a Jewish calendar, which is, I think we're about 5,000 or something in the Jewish calendar. Obviously, if they decide to use that opportunity in terms, because they do go along with these esoteric calendars and things like that. The good guys as well as the bad guys. Maybe that's good. Maybe maybe they could call it the beginning of the age of Aquarius and things like that. Yeah. Onslow says Kev Baker doesn't have this trouble, Ben. Oh, what trouble's that? So I'm a little bit behind with obviously. I'm trying to skip through these because otherwise, a lot of you complain because I address your questions ages afterwards. The only way to avoid that is to like skip a few of them. E-Man says there's a whole university department of biochemists in Australia called the Perth Group who argue that HIV may not even exist. I've heard that. You know, Christine Fiore and people like that, or Christine Maggiore, talking about how the whole HIV thing is a red herring, but it's now so ingrained in the industry of big pharma they can't go back on it. And Tink says no more cancer. Do you know when they release the cancers and the cancer treatments and things like that have been suppressed? God, that's going to blow people's mind, isn't it? Just think about it, man. Monopod BS says Unwinese not fun at all. It's just a waste of time and extremely irritating. Well, you don't have to read Horrible Hairy Toes' comments if you don't want. I don't mind. I think it's funny, but it's up to you. If you don't like it, just block him or something. Crafty Nolly says you're deleting the video. Oh, Crafty, no, I'm deleting the. I'm deleting the notice video that I put up. Don't worry, I'm not deleting this video. Don't worry. No, I'm going to keep this video. Obviously, it's going to take ages to bloody process, isn't it? I probably won't. But what I'll do is I'll share this on Facebook, and I'll put a notice up on Hapanwa TV probably when it's processed, which may be tomorrow, or I might just put one up and leave the BitChute and library links blank. Diego Rivera Trump is. Oh dear, I'm not even going to answer that because it's just ridiculous. We've been through that. You are repeating yourself. Woden 20 says my wife still has antibodies 6 months after being tested. Woden, no one knows exactly how long the immunity lasts because whenever you catch a virus, you become immune from it afterwards because your body recognizes it. You have antibodies which stop the virus reinfecting you. This lasts for a certain amount of time. In some cases, it's your whole life. So, for example, I've had mumps. I can't get mumps again because I have antibodies which will last me my whole life. Now, no one knows for sure exactly how long that period is with COVID-19. But the thing about it is, apparently it's mutating, which means it's going to stay around. It's going to stay around. Where are we now? Okay, I'm going to go down. I can't answer all your questions, all your comments. I can't answer all of them. I'm sorry. It's just too much. Where are we now? Oh, blimey, so many. Tink123 says, what are they all singing now? A peace treaty saying no country can ever go to war, hence POTUS withdrawing all the troops globally. Yeah, I mean, like Boris Johnson, President Trump can't have everything his way, and of course he's been forced into situations, not least the fire in Trump Tower, which has caused him to, like, for instance, launch the missiles against Syria. But as presidents go, as US presidents go over the last few years, comparing it to, say, Obama or Bush Jr., he's an amazing peacemaker. I mean, it's thanks to him. I mean, look what's happening in the Middle East now. We've just had peace deals signed between Israel and several Middle Eastern states that were always sworn enemies, such as the United Arab Emirates. I think there's another one, Bahrain or something. I don't know. But this is absolutely extraordinary. Peter Stein says, hello from Ireland, Ben and chat. Hello, Peter. Thanks for joining us, mate. Thanks for joining us. Huge Arsehole says, what's going on with David Icke these days? Well, he's been doing his speeches and doing his videos. He did a great speech in London. I'm hoping he'll come back on the 26th. I don't know. You might not get him twice. E-Man says, you start seeing shills on every seashore. Very good. Monopod BS, just seen a shill on your Shills. Everyone's a shill. Crafty says, Ben, you can't rub anyone up the wrong way or the right way without gloves and a hazmat suit, remember? Yeah. Well, I must have done that to Caroline without those things, which is the problem. Emma Lone, is it just me? It's not. Oh man, I hope it's not. I hope it's just you, Emma, for whom it's buffering. Because do you remember that? Do you remember that time when I had, just live streams just wouldn't work and I didn't know why? Do you remember that? It's bloody awful, isn't it? Tink says, if it's not Christmas, it'll be early next year. TV military trials will be held globally over 3 days. I think it's going to be longer than that, Tink. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I hope that's what the QAnon stuff comes true. Yeah, I do. I think what there'd be, honestly, if it's not for those things, this Christmas is going to be pretty grim, isn't it? Hugh Jarso says Georgia Guidestones maintain humanity under 500 million. Yeah, they absolutely say that, don't they? Yeah. J1 says someone's been watching too many Charlie Ward videos. Oh, well, I don't know. I quite like Charlie Ward show. I haven't seen every single one of them, but I think they're pretty good. I think he's pretty good. Hi, Tina. Tina Silver's here. How you doing, Tina? E-Man says Kev Baker discredited himself by having Anthony Patch on his shows. Patch is an obvious disinfo agent, or he just talks crap anyway. No, I don't think so. I mean, what Anthony Patch was saying about the Large Hadron Collider, I think was very, very interesting. And Kev's shows with him were very, very, very interesting. I'm hoping actually that Kev will do a round table with me and Anthony. That would be very good. I like that. Evan says, no, thanks, but not much chance of convincing my parents. Oh, dear, yeah. I can only hope to avoid certain subjects. I know it's the same with my family, Eman. It's the same with mine. I've given up completely trying to that. Eman also says, do you remember the London Olympics opening ceremony? Some say it's all about COVID and Boris is one of the puppets in it. The one sitting up on the hospital bed. It does look like him. I didn't know about Boris. I know that there's lots of weird stuff. The Olympics opening ceremonies, especially the London one, are always full of a lot of weirdness and high strangeness. And there did seem to be these rather strange incidents in the NHS section. They had people on hospital beds and they had these virus-like objects flying around. That's very weird. Yeah, Yarlan says it's very creepy. Yes, it was very creepy. Sunsets and Music says, do you watch any of Magenta Pixies videos, Ben? Yes, I do sometimes. Yeah, I know. I've met Magenta. Yeah, I find her interesting. Yeah. Francisco Zubaran. Hello, Francisco. Are the Illuminati behind COVID-19? Yes. Nick, hello. How are you, Nick? Francisco's repeating the Diego Rivera stuff. No, it's not true. Oh, there we go. Tink, the POTUS didn't bow to the Queen and walked in front of Charles when inspecting the guards. I remember that. I did a video about that. I thought that was extraordinary, yeah. Longsight M12 says, watching from Miami. Hi, Longsight, how are you? Loving Life says, Robin Tilbrook, solicitor involved English Democrat. I know Robin. I've watched his videos. I've actually was on a show with him once years ago. We were on the Wake Up UK channels, and I can't remember which show it was. I think it might have been Caroline Stevens' show actually. Caroline used to host these round tables and invite people on, and I was on quite a bit, and Robin was on, I think, on the show with me, and yeah, and is he's not the same person as Daddy Dragon, is he? But he and Daddy Dragon are kind of like friends. I know Robin Tilbrook is the person who went to court over the whole the Brexit extension. I remember, which, of course, unfortunately, he lost. However, Brexit did end up happening eventually. I think the government were planning to just delay it inevitably. So even though Robin lost the case in the High Court, the Brexit still happened on the 31st of January this year. The only problem is it happened about 2 years after it should have happened. That's the bloody pain in the arse issue about it. Andrew Sly says, you're doing an awesome job, bud. Thank you very much, Andrew. How many COVID addict admittance have you had at your local hospital, bud? Southampton was COVID-free, like for 3 months, an insider told me. Oh, Andrew, I know lots of insiders, having been an insider myself. And I am still in touch with my old brother porters, and they told me that the hospital is really quiet. And the reason it's really quiet, all the decks have been cleared for action, basically, for COVID-19. All the COVID-19 wards have been set up. But basically, everything else has been put to the wayside. All the A&E are just discharging everyone to the community. Clinics are just discharging everyone. They're not admitting people to hospital. Things like that. So basically, the GPs are not referring to people to critical care, to clinical, to the inpatients care and things like that. So basically, everyone who can be is being discharged to the community. So the hospitals are really quiet. I mean, they're actually getting pretty bored. A lot of the porters are getting bloody bored, and so are the other staff. They've been bringing computer games into work and things like that. Steve 07, hello from the northeast of England. Oh, right. Stevie, you should go along to Truth Seekers Northeast. Where are we now? Alongside said Bill Gates puts millions of donations to the BBC. Yes, 800 million to be precise. How about that, eh? The BBC being funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And The Guardian, yeah. Did you see that thing about the connection between George Soros, Bill Gates, and Anthony Fauci? Interesting video. It all ties into IG Farben and the Nazis. Very interesting stuff. Because Soros was a capo in the Jewish ghettos. You see, he's one of the. Now this tape brings us. I talked about this in my last video, or the one before the notice, obviously. The ghettos, the Jewish ghettos in Nazi Germany. Now they were run by the SS, but of course the SS could have sent their own people in to act as police and management. But instead, they got some of the Jews and they gave them privileged positions. They gave them more money, they gave them better food and things like that. And they says, "We'll make you the capos. All you have to do is police the other Jews, keep them in line, act as like the managers and policemen of the ghetto, and we'll make you. You are our kind of people. You are our kind of Jews, and we'll look after you. And every so often the cattle trucks will come along. Just ask them nicely if they're bored and things like that. And so the capos agree, and they served this system. But of course, eventually they said, "Okay, it's your turn now. Get on the cattle trucks." And they said, "Hang on a minute. We've been working for you. We have been loyal servants of you." And they said, "Shut up, sucker. Just get on the cattle truck." Well, that is the COVID-19 marshals. Have you seen that? The adverts for the COVID-19 marshals. And well, anyway, the point is that Soros was one of these capos. He was one of these guys. He was put on the cattle truck. He was sent off to one of the camps. Eventually, when they liberated it, he decided he would become a New World Order person, which he still is to this day. God, how old is he? I mean, to have been a capo in like the 30s and 40s, he must be ancient. I mean, the thing is, they go on forever, don't they? David Rockefeller was apparently 101 when he died, but God knows he may be older than that. I mean, if he's getting regular blood transfusion and heart infusion, stuff like that, and all the treatments that the Illuminati have, he could be 150, he could be 200. I mean, God knows. They look at, don't they? Look at Henry Kissinger. Look at Prince Philip. I mean, who's going to prove them wrong? Is anyone still alive who remembers them when they were young? There's no one around to prove them wrong. If their birth certificate says they're 85, then they're 85. But God, I bet they're older than that. Emma Malone says, "Ben, you answer more than most YouTubers, so don't worry." Thanks, Emma. Thank you very much. I mean, I like to, because you guys do an awful lot. You are horrible hairy toes. Says Hansy's bent toes. Oh, the hairy hands. I made a mistake. Yes, hairy hands I got that from Devon. Do you remember my Devon videos? Was you the first one? I've done 2. I don't know which one it was. The Hairy Hands of Dartmoor. Do you remember the mystery of the hairy hands? If you're driving along through Dartmoor, they grab your hands over the steering wheel and they force you off the road. Hugh Johnson says, The Guardian newspaper? Lol. Yeah. The Guardian communist pamphlet, more like, yeah. Crafty Knight says, Epstein was funding virus research at Harvard. That's right. With pictures with him and Bill Gates. Yeah, that's part of that same video, I think, now at Crafty, yes. I heard one theory that it was Epstein's dead man switch. Well, obviously it didn't work. I think the switch was pulled, wasn't it? What's going to happen next? Hey, Tink123 will probably tell you. And it's bottom slip again. Up we go. Where are we? Excuse me. It's Crafty, said Crafty Gnarlish. Yeah, I'm at the Crafty Gnarlish bit. Andrew Slice says exomes was the word I was looking for. Yeah, exomes was. I actually interviewed Nick Colostrum on Hapanmo Radio. I don't know if you heard that, but he was talking about that because it's in his book about the exomes. It's very interesting. He's really looked into it. He's a science historian and he's looked into the background to virology and things like that. Oh, Crafty Gnarlish is off. Okay, picking Crafty Gnarlish. One half of them has to pick the other half up from the station. Okay, Crafty. See you soon. That's Liz Crafty. She's got to pick up Mark Crafty from the station. Okay. Steve071, Capel Green. Any updates? No, I've not been. No one's told me when it's coming out. But look to December. The reason December is the 40th anniversary of the Rendlesham Forest incident. Now that is an iron too hot not to strike, isn't it? And basically, I can tell you the film is really finished now. It's done. It's obviously Dion and Tino and the others. They're sort of tinkering with it, polishing it off. But basically, the film is now done. And I would really, I think December. I think it's going to be December. It's going to be at the 40th anniversary. And even if there's a bloody lockdown, I mean, there's going to be some kind of big launch. I mean, I don't think they'll wait till after the lockdown. I think they will go for the December. I don't know that. It's just my supposition, but I hope they do. Not least because I've bet someone £10 that it'll happen before the end of December. Horrible Hairy Toe says Davy Iker's Spirity Santi lizard and flicking out of the tongue there. Yeah, I think he's talking about the Queen. I think. Tink says the people are only going to be shown 25% of the truth, as the rest is so horrific. So the trials would just be the big names, and the rest have already been dealt with. I've heard stories that things are already happening and things are already being dealt with. Obviously, I hope so, Tink. I think that it is so horrific, and I think that people like us who actually go in and listen to the insiders and people like that, we've heard how awful it is. And there's a lot of damaged people in this movement. I think it's a result of that. And when the truth comes out, you'll see people weeping in the streets, because I think the people will be shown the full truth. We have to integrate this experience in order to move on. E-Man says, I don't know much about what Patch says about the Large Hadron Collider, but Anthony Patch claims that vaccines have silicon DNA in them. Okay, I don't know about that, E-Man. I've not heard that show. He hasn't got back to me when I emailed him. I emailed Neil Sanders to ask him for the best evidence that the COVID virus exists, and he hasn't got back to me either. And Neil Sanders he's about the only person apart from Andrew Johnson who Richard D. Orr gives the time of day at the moment. And he's been on his show a few times, and he's always Neil. I mean, I actually just I wrote some reviews of Neil's show, because I think Neil got it wrong about several things. Now, Neil Sanders is very interesting, and he's written a brilliant 2-volume book called Your Thoughts Are Not Your Own, which I do recommend. But since then, he's been talking He's been saying that Trump is another insider. Trump is just a product of this Cambridge Analytica thing. It all ties in with Steve Bannon and several other people. And so that basically the whole QAnon thing is rubbish. And that basically the whole Boris Trump 2016 effect is a delusion, and people like me have basically got it all wrong. So he's kind of Neil Sanders is kind of a more eloquent Diego Rivera. And I've actually done a video about this, and I've done several articles explaining why I think Neil Sanders is wrong on that. I really do. Onzo's going to be listening to Kev Baker later. Sure, mate. Emma hasn't seen Caroline Stevens for a while. She's still, I mean, it's because she's blocked me. I haven't seen anything she's posting on Facebook. So I don't know. You can check her channel out if she's just still doing videos. I don't know. And Horrible Hairy Toe says, leave Borrelli alone, peep loaders. He's a well-mean it and chuck a load of baffinage. I couldn't have said it better myself, Horrible. Yeah. I've had, Hugo Roon says 6 times 6 likes, 6 dislikes. Oh, and I got 666. Oh, I've got 38 thumbs up now. 62 people still watching. David Schultz says, at this point in time, there are more suicides and drug overdose than people dying from COVID-19. Yeah, I mean, the lockdown has really taken its toll on people. You know, we're not used to this. We're not like the war generation who had air raids and things like that and rationing. We're used to a more stable and prosperous world, and there have been vulnerable people who've taken their own lives. Domestic violence has gone up. Oh yeah, it's taking its toll on people. Hi, tinfoil hat. Bill Gates' father was apparently a Rockefeller. Wouldn't surprise me. I've got. Well, we now. Hang on. Oops, bottom flip. Hold on a sec. Where are we now? I keep going up till I see a comment I recognise. Bloody hell. Where are we now? Oh dear. One sec. Just going to find out where I was. Okay. Bill Gates, Rockefeller. Oh yes. Tinfoil. Have you watched Europa: The Final Battle? Yes. It's very interesting. Basically, it takes apart the whole story of World War II. Now, I've also watched several other alternative documentaries on World War II, like Hellstorm, Adolf Hitler, The Greatest Secret Never Told, and things like The Greatest Story Never Told. I don't go along with everything that's in those documentaries. However, it's pretty obvious that the official story of World War II, you know, Churchill, Spitfires, and all that sort of thing, is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And the destruction, it talks in enormous, very, very graphic detail about the horrific destruction of Germany. And it's not just during the war, it's afterwards as well. Europa: Final Battle. I watched all of it, actually, and I think it makes a lot of good points, but I disagree with it. I think the crucial thing I disagree with this film on is the issue for which I had a video banned from this channel. If you watch my video banned video, you'll know what I mean. But I had a video banned from this channel for the reasons that I basically disagree with the makers of Europa: Final Battle for that reason. And for disagreeing with it, it's odd because Europa: The Final Battle was banned from YouTube. I made a video. It wasn't actually a rebuttal of Europa. It was because I agree with a lot of the points made in that video, but it was the key. I think it was the key. It was the key ingredient which I disagreed with. And guess what? My video got banned too. Oh dear. Anyway, I've done an entire video about that. I was actually pleasantly surprised that you know what? It's actually, I'm going to go and check it before I say anything. Before I tempt fate, I'm going to check it. All right, but I was half expecting my video COVID-19 Truth Tour Oxford to be banned. I was half expecting that. And it's quite nice that it hasn't been, obviously. But I was honestly expecting that. Longside says, Soros's quote about being a capo was the happiest days of his life. I bet it was. Yes, look what he's doing now. He's turned the entire world into he wants to turn the entire world into one of his ghettos. Diego Rivera, Ben Emlyn Jones is a Tory boy. Oh goodness me. Well, like Larry Enfield's one, you know. Get back to work, you lazy scroungers. Remember that? Oh, he's so funny, Larry Enfield. Hugh Johnson says, what do you make of Alex Belfield? I've heard that name before. Alex Belfield. I don't know. Jock of Ages, hello. He's back. Great. Where are we now? Going back down. Ed Kayla. Hi, Ed. Excuse me. Hi, Ed. Yeah. COVID-19 compliance marshals are essentially modern commissars. Yes, they are. Oh, God. It's crazy, isn't it? Oh, it's creating so many jobs. Yeah. But as I said in my HS2 video, well, you know what, the capos were job created, weren't they? You know, the gulags created jobs. There are moral considerations as well. Is anyone here going to apply for a job as a COVID marshal? Give us a 1 in the chat box if you're going to do that. Go on, give us a 1 in the chat box if you honestly are going to apply for a COVID marshal job. This is going to be funny. Yeah. J1 says COVID marshals will take up more hospital beds than COVID victims. If they try to harm me in any way, they bloody will. I'll tell you. I will use lawful force. I'm talking about the real law, the Constitution, to defend myself. If any of these little commissars, these little thugs, come up to me and start dragging me away. Where are we now? Diego Rivera, what's happened to D Hall? He's been very quiet. I think he's taking some time off. I mean, he did his tour, his virtual tour, which was it's a great shame he couldn't do the real tour, because it was obviously I watched the video of his tour, but I think it was not the same as being there. You know, I mean, and it says here, Yardeland says Richard usually takes the summer off to research and produce films later in the year, and Steve says D Hall will be back. Yeah, he will. I'm sure Richard will return, but right now he's taking time out, I think. And we had another bottom slip. Where are we now? Tinfoil Hat says 66 million Americans are not thick. They love Trump. The mainstream media spread more and more shit. Yes, they do. They really do. Yes, they want. I mean, I'll cover the election in more detail later. Basically, there is a conspiracy, believe it or not, to get Trump out and replace it with Joe Biden and, well, basically Kamala Harris. Well, Kamala Harris is going to be the little worm tongue whispering in the ear of King Theoden. Yeah, but they want to get rid of Trump, and they're going to. The methods they're going to use are underhand. They're not going to try and beat him in the election. They're trying to make sure the election doesn't even happen the way it's supposed to. And I'll be covering that in more detail in a future live stream. Possibly I'll do one very soon. Where are we now? Eamon says, Sanders seemed good on Manson. I think he's too cocksure about his understanding of Kaufman's arguments, but he's entitled to his opinions. Well, I think he's made a mistake about the Cambridge Analytica stuff. I can't remember all the talking points, but I wrote several articles about it. I covered it in a video. Jock of Ages says, talking about suicide, another young man in my neighborhood took his life last week. Oh, I'm sorry, Jock. I really am. The suicide rate is soaring at the moment, and there's a massive spike when it comes to men, and an even bigger spike when it comes to white men. Why is that happening? Why is that? It's horrific, isn't it? Steve Palmer says, if the rail line that Crafty's husband had used today had not been constructed, would they be bitching about poor public transport? Point is, it's easy to moan about something HS2. Steve, just why don't you, if you put a comment on my video about HS2, I'll answer it in the comments reply video. Obviously, I don't agree with you, and just there's nothing in your comment here that I don't actually address in that video. So feel free to watch the video and put a comment on there. When the next comments reply video comes along, I'll happily reply to you. Steve071 says, would you go back on the rich planet if asked, Ben? Yes, of course I would. Yes. I mean, I don't remember actually when I've turned down an interview with anyone. I mean, I've been asked. Someone emailed me the other day asking me to go on another show I've not been on before, and I'm going to go. I'll honestly, I've been on the Merseyside Skeptic Society podcast with Andrew Marshall. That was very good. I enjoyed that, actually. That was fun because they disagreed with me. And if there are any skeptics out there who want to interview me, well, there's one I actually did block because they were being a dickhead, and that was Conspiracy Theory Watch. I blocked that person because they were being horrible. When David Icke got banned from social media, they started gloating about it, so I blocked them. But apart from, I wouldn't go on there simply for that reason. But it's rather like with Steve mumbling. You know, if you behave like that, I don't want nothing to do with you. But yeah, I'd go on a skeptic podcast if they wanted me on. I'd go on the Rich Planet show. I'd go on anyone's show. I think. I really poor conduct is the only reason I would refuse to work with somebody. And when I say poor conduct, I mean, I've got my disagreements with Richard D. Hall. You know, we've had our arguments, but you know, he's certainly not to the extent that I would refuse to have anything to do with him. I don't think Richard would have me back though, because Richard is clearly, if you watch his channel over the last few years, you'll see it's taken a distinct direction, which doesn't include me. Definitely doesn't include me. Jans, they said Mark Devlin was sitting in the front row. Oh, is that the Rich Planet show? Oh, he's lovely. Mark's great, isn't he? Where are we going now? We're going over 2 hours. That's not bad. Another slip down. Got 65 people watching still. Yeah. Oh, where are we? David Schultz says they say David Rockefeller had 5 heart transplants before he died. Goodness me. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What a disgusting homunculus. What a horrible Frankenstein monster of a person that he was. Robert Mugabe's finally popped off as well. Goodness me. Maybe it's a good sign that these immortal scumbags are finally shuffling off this mortal coil and they're going to the depths of hell where they belong. So we've David Rockefeller's gone, finally. Robert Mugabe has gone, finally. They're all really, they're all 90, 100, God knows what they are. Even officially, they're like really old. What we got left? We've got Henry Kissinger, George Soros, Prince Philip, they're still alive. Well, let's just say, let's have a little sweepstake or something, shall we? And of course, what about old Queenie herself? The lizard of Buckingham Palace. Where is she? She's, I reckon, she's already gone, and they're waiting for the right time to say it. I didn't do a video about it. I wrote an article about that. Yeah. Where are we now? Okay. Tinfoil Hat says at my daughter's school they won't allow them to change in PE. They have to do their PE in their uniform. That is disgusting. That is disgusting. I used to like PE, but I used to hate. We always have to have a shower afterwards and change, and it was always, you always had to get in a shower with everyone else, and it was really embarrassing, because teenagers are very sensitive about their bodies. Ed Kaler. Ed Kaler he says 1. So you're going to apply to be one of these little capos, are you, Ed? Okay, and he says joke. All right, then. He puts 1 and he said just joking. All right. And Jock says I do it as an insider whistleblower. All right, Jock. Well, You know, if someone does that, I wouldn't, goes in there as a spy to undermine it. Yeah, why not? Longsight M12 says the COVID marshals will be the fresh off the boat immigrants who will do everything they're told. They probably will be, actually, because they will, they know that these are people who are new to the country and who will not regard they'll not regard the native population with any sentimentality. In fact, we've already seen that, haven't we? I mean, look at the Rotherham scandal. We already know that even like second generation have a hostility towards the native population. Tinfoil Hat says you've got to be stupid if you vote for Biden. Yeah, but well, unfortunately, if people believe what they see on the news and they believe Trump, Orange Man bad, Trump is Hitler, blah de blah de blah, he's going to ruin the country, he's going to lynch black people, etc., etc. Some people believe all that stuff. I mean, it's really horrible. At this picnic today, we were talking about the effect television has on people's minds, and you have like stars in soap operas. There was like was it Deirdre Barlow in Coronation Street? When she went off to prison, people were writing to the Home Secretary demanding that she be freed. Someone set up like a GoFundMe to pay for her legal costs, and people were giving money to this scam artist. They were given money to free a fictional character from prison who's played by an actress. And I thought, at least Deirdre, she's lucky. Actually, her actress is lucky because Deirdre is quite a good person who everyone likes. If you're in a soap opera and you play a villain, people will attack you on the streets. Do they actually think it's real? So if people are really like that, people actually believe, treat fiction as reality. When they watch these Orange Man bad news things they read the New York Times and things like that, or they watch TV, things like that. Yeah, they'll say, "I've got to vote for Biden, or we'll let this Hitler get in again." The thing is that now, when it comes to voting, I think that I'll say more about this in my election coverage. But I think it could be that it won't actually matter who you vote for, because there's not going to be an election in the normal sense. And I'll be saying more about that later. Where are we now? Okay, I'm going to go back down. Have we reached the bottom? No, we haven't. No, blah, blah. Oh, what's happened? Oh, come on. E-Man says Tony Blair is loving all this. Oh, yes, he is. Yes. Now we have No One's Flower says, hello, Ben the Jail Porter. I'm a big fan of yours. Oh, thanks, No One's Flower. Thanks for joining us. Much appreciated. I'm glad you're here. Tinfoil Hat says, Ben, you know a bit about the military bases around the UK. A little bit, Tinfoil Hat. Yeah, I've been looking into them. The thing about the military bases is there are official ones and there are unofficial ones. And I've been more interested in the unofficial ones. But yeah, there are a lot of them. There are more than we've been told. If you ever watched that video, what's it called? This will give you a clue. It doesn't go into it in much detail, but I actually put this on Facebook the other day. Where is it? Oh, hang on. Oh, come on. Wait for it to process. Mark Thomas's Secret Map of Britain. Yeah, you can get it on YouTube. It was made a long time ago, but it's really interesting because it talks about some of the secret military bases. Not all of them. There's some that he doesn't cover, but they exist. Yeah. Nihilist Lives Matter. Hello, how are you? RDH just jumped the shark, asking for relatives of the Manchester bombing dead to come forward. I don't see how that's jumping the shark. Is it? I don't. Jumping the shark, essentially what you mean that he was being unoriginal or putting in a gimmick or something. No. Richard's work on the Manchester, Richard, I'll tell you, what he did with the Manchester bombing is fantastic. Just watch The Night of the Bang, his documentary. I think he's proved it. He's absolutely proved it. And he's quite entitled to say to come forward, prove me wrong. He wants to know what really happened. And he had very, very little response. I mean, I had someone posting here on comments on my video saying, "Oh, I know someone who died in the Manchester bombing. I know someone who did, and it's real. It really happened." Well, in that case, I said to him, contact Richard D. Hall, contact the Rich Planet Show. Nihilist Lives Matter says, Soros next, fingers crossed. I think he would be my choice, Nihilist, definitely. He would definitely be. Hugo Rune says, Elizabeth rules UK, question mark? Maybe not for much longer, Hugo, or if at all. Onslow says, Ben, you're a thoroughly decent bloke. Love these little chats. Well, thanks, Onslow. Thank you very much. Yarlan Zay said, Philip was looking great after having COVID-19 in that video interview. Is that what, Prince Philip? Did he have it? I don't know. Steve, Steve says, is asking me a question about which benefit I claim. I'm not going to talk about my private life. I'm not going to. It just seems rich, you going on previous videos that you have bank account number and claim benefits. Now, if you watch, please could you watch my video about my passport? I forgot what it's called now. I've got a passport. I go into all the details there. Okay, so just watch that. Please watch that and feel free to comment on that video. Huge Arsehole says, what's David Icke's Truth Vibrations all about? Well, it's basically his first book where he starts writing about like his spiritual work and things like that. And it goes into details about the energy healing he does around the world. Firstly, he talks about his experience of like having this spiritual awakening, and then about how he goes all over the world doing energy healing. And by David's own admissions, when he looks back at it now, he says basically that he was in a bit of a weird headspace in those days. He did lose it a little bit. That was when he appeared on the Wogan show and started saying he was the son of the Godhead, etc. He actually wrote some follow-ups. He wrote some, what was it called? He wrote some follow-up books. It was in, one was called Love Changes Everything, and the other was called, what was the other one called? But his early books were quite good. I enjoyed them. They're shorter than his later ones, and they're more in the sort of spiritual area than conspiratorial. Now we have here, long sight says, my flatmate is voting for Biden and thinks he's a wonderful human, and Bill Gates as well. He cannot be red-pilled. CNN has fucked him up. Long sight. I'm sorry, mate. I really am that you are in that situation. I mean, I have two flatmates, and I don't even discuss anything I do here with them. It's just no point. You got to pick your battles, mate. You really do. Don't bang your head against a brick wall. It won't do you any good. It'll do you no good. I mean, it's like you could go to a synagogue with a proverbial pork chop, and you can knock on the door and say, "Do you want to buy this pork chop?" And I'd say, "No, we're Jewish. We don't eat pork." And they say, "Oh, please, 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 come on!" You can spend all day trying to persuade the Jews in the synagogue to buy your pork chop, and they will turn you down because it's against their rules. They don't do this. Or you could just go off. You could just you just say, okay, I'm not going to bother with that, and go off to someone who likes pork and try and sell it to them. It's a bit like that. So if you really are banging your head against a brick wall, if you are really dealing with a complete conformist who, like Bill Hicks, we're the puppet people, put it on our TV, it's true. You can't break through to these people. So don't try. I'm like that with my family, my dad and my brother. I just never say a word. Nihilist Lives Matter says, evidence of George Floyd submitted shows he swallowed a large amount of drugs rather than got caught with them. Suggests his death was an overdose. Yeah, I've seen that. It does look, following the initial reports, which said that he was suffocated by Derek Chauvin, the policeman who arrested him. It's actually more likely that didn't happen, and that he actually the problem he had was to do with poor general health, to do with drug abuse and things like that, which mixed with the stress of being arrested led to heart failure rather than suffocation, which means the policeman's going to be acquitted in court, and then there's going to be more riots. It's going to be next year I think there's going to be quite a lot of riots because there's going to be a number of court cases. There's the Kenosha case, which again, the Kenosha shooting, absolutely clear case of self-defense. Totally and utterly. That is the young man with a rifle who he was shooting at people who were attacking him. Again, he's gonna walk, and there's gonna be, that people, you can't say to these rioters, oh well, look, you got this wrong. They won't say no, it's not fair. He should be arrested. They'll deny reality. It's very great shame. And Aman says, I have my doubts George Floyd died. Well, I've looked into some of this because some people were saying that the one guy, the one guy in one bit of CCTV is different to the guy in the other bit of CCTV. There's also some suggestion that George Floyd had a background in drama. For example, there's a interesting video of Judge Judy from a long time ago, which shows a man who's called George in being grilled by Judge Judy, and it's obviously he's a lot younger because it's from a number of years ago, but it looks like George Floyd, which indicates that because of course I think a lot of the Judge Judy cases were staged, like all TV. They say it's real courts, real law, no, it's TV, it's drama. Now the thing about it is, of course, they want whether George Floyd actually did die or not, and it was however much it's real or not real, or whatever the cause of his death was. The worldwide riots caused by this, was all staged. They just needed a spark to ignite the flame, to ignite the tinderbox, and the tinderbox was set up by all these people like George Soros and the others, buying up bricks from warehouses and builders' yards, putting them on the street. It was all highly organized. The idea that this was just some kind of spontaneous eruption of protest because of the death of George Floyd is nonsense. You would never have ever had that level of reaction unless it was highly organized. It was all intentional, and I think that maybe they're trying to scare people into voting for Biden. I'd like to think some people are saying, well, this is propaganda. This is actually going to help Trump because people are going to vote for Trump because they don't like what's going on with the riots. However, there's another way of looking at it, which is pretty dismaying, but it's possibly true. And possibly the organizers of the riots have done it for this reason. Let's just vote for Biden and then they'll stop. Once these people have their president, they'll calm down. And so maybe it will benefit Biden in that way, which is a shame. It's a shame there's that much weakness among the population. But it's possible, yeah. All right, Nihilist Lives Matter. There was a guy who found secret bases in abandoned underground subways. He was on Joe Rogan. Really? Who's that? I mean, Joe Rogan. I used to like him, and then he went downhill. I mean, his interviews with Mick West, the skeptic, were pathetic. They were absolutely pathetic. It was a bloody great big. It was a great big bro hug between the two of them. I mean, this is a guy. He interviewed Graham Hancock. He interviewed Luis Elizondo, and asked him tough questions about their position. Bring on Mick West. Why doesn't he do the same? I mean, I was just sitting there screaming, ask Mick West this, ask him that, ask him the points I made in my skeptic videos. So I've gone off Joe Rogan, and now he's gone over to Spotify, and he seems to have lost it. I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame. Hugo Roon says, I'm ex-army, 1970s, but oops, it's gone. Where's he gone? Sorry, Hugo, sorry to interrupt you. We've got to slip down at that point. Where was Hugo's comments? Right, Hugo Rood says, I'm ex-army, 1970s, based in West Germany. This year, the very last British military base closed in Germany. No British troops there anymore. All right, I didn't see that in the news, Hugo. You'd think that would be some kind of that would be newsworthy, wouldn't you? Because it seems Germany was one of the most common places for British land forces to be deployed. I mean, I knew people who went into the army, and a lot of them went over to Germany. A lot of them did. Obviously, maybe I think it's a big milestone because it kind of signals the end of the original Cold War formation that they were complaining about in that Project for the New American Century document. I think obviously the point possibly is, and obviously this is a process, so the last base closing is not necessarily anything significant other than it's a milestone. But maybe they want the forces for other things. Maybe it's to do with the European Defence Pact, which Caroline Stevens has been warning about. It may be for some other reason. I don't know. Maybe there's going to be a United Nations army. I don't know. David Schultz says China's harvesting the DNA of its people. Well, they're harvesting more than that, David. I heard some awful stories about what they do to the Uyghurs. I mean, I don't know how much of it's true. I know that they're persecuting this ethnic minority in the interior of their country, in Western China, and that there's talk about they're basically using them as involuntary organ donors. It's like that Never Let Me Go that I reviewed. Do you remember that film I reviewed? Oh, good grief. Is this the future of policing? Yes, David, it is, unless we stop it, yeah. And Yarlan says they harvest organs, yeah. Tink says hundreds of DUMs at deep underground military bases all over the world under our feet. Guess where the 8 million missing children per year have been going? Yep, Tink, as I said, people will weep in the streets when all this comes out. In fact, if you read the Roswell trilogy, you'll see a fictional depiction of this. Available all good bookshops now. Here's the first one. You read that and then read the rest of them. Video says David Icke probably getting a download from someone equivalent to the Space Brothers. Okay. C. Palmer says, I watched your video about having a passport. You made an excuse that you might have to rescue your daughter from a foreign land. Truth is, you got a passport so you could give your talk in Denmark. Well, is that something I denied? I don't believe. I think I actually mentioned the fact I did it so I could give a talk in Denmark, didn't I? But it wasn't an excuse about rescuing my daughter from a foreign land. It wasn't. My daughter did go on holiday to Malta, and I did actually make the decision to get a passport when I found out Louisa was going to going on holiday in Malta. She's 25 years old, but I still felt I need to protect her. But I mean, I did not deny that the talk in Denmark was another reason. I didn't deny that. I don't think it is an excuse. Because honestly, if I hadn't gone to talk in Denmark, I would still have done that. I still have got a passport for that reason. You should always get very concerned, I think, with people like Steve Palmer, and I've had arguments with him before. When you disagree with someone and they change the frame of the debate onto you as a person, it's called an ad hominem attack. They immediately alter the frame and they start focusing on things to do with you and what you've done. They're digging up, this is what the anti-Larry Warren trolls did. When I exposed their fraud, rather than putting up comments rebutting me, they immediately started focusing on me as an individual, trying to discredit me, which included, going through. This is incredible. It's the most extreme example of offense archaeology I've ever heard of. They were like going back through comments I put on forums in 2008. So, Steve, you do yourself if you disagree with anything I've said, and you have, I know, you do yourself no favors by trying to shift the attention onto things to do with me. I'm not going to apologize for anything I do or say, other than the apologies I've already given in that particular video you're talking about. And I did, I believe, say something like that. Right, I'm just getting rid of my Telegraph tabs that keep obstructing my view. Oh, another bottom slip. Hang on, where was I? Tink 123, New York Times, Washington Post, LA Times. Just some of the deep state fake media. So of course they will tell you, daughter of LA Times Rachel Chandler, seen with Clinton. Yeah. And it's all part of that. This is what will happen if Ghislaine Maxwell goes to court. These people will inevitably go to court too, which is why if she doesn't die of COVID-19, you'll know that the deep state has suffered another loss. It all depends on the election or what we call an election coming up and what happens next year. Honestly, this year from the Book of Revelations 2020, once it's over, I won't breathe a sigh of relief yet. Oh, Horrible Hairy Toes reminds Emma Malone of the BFG. Yeah, the BFG by Roald Dahl. I love it too. I think it's a great story. Yeah. Yeah, America will collapse under Trump. It's all been predicted. No, it won't. No, the enemies of Trump in government and within the various parts of state regulation, they're trying to crash the economy. They're scuttling the entire economic well-being of the state. You know why? To get rid of Trump. They want to sink the entire economic ship, just so Trump goes down with it. Honestly, this is the ultimate. This is financial scorched earth these people have. They're doing this. They're going to blame it on Trump. They're going to try and get Trump out. Nihilist Logismatic, it's all been orchestrated for a Trump landslide. If there was a Trump landslide, which is what I hope for, obviously, then it'll mean that's really great. What I think you're going to see, and I'll say more about this later, is there's not going to be any one moment when the election happens. But this is why they're focusing on postal ballots. It's so, firstly, they don't have to declare an election result at any particular time, and also it makes electoral fraud easier. It's going to be contested. Whoever's announced the winner, the other side will contest them. And I hope if it's Biden announced the winner, Trump will make the points he's been making on Twitter about electoral fraud. This is what he got fact-checked for. Do you remember? That's what I really hope will happen, yeah. Oh God, it's really up in the air. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Styx Hexenhammer keeps going on about the opinion polls and things like that. Oh, Trump, 99% chance Trump's going to win, he says. That's true if it was a fair election. But I think Styx is just finally coming to grips with this. He's made a couple of videos about electoral fraud. I think he's just coming to grips with the fact that the opinion polls and his analysis and everything he got right in 2016, it doesn't matter when you're facing a non-election. Dr. Bradley Garrett, thanks, Nihilist. Thank you. That's the guy who was on with Joe Rogan talking about deep underground military bases. Email says, I watched a sermon by the preacher who nominated George Floyd for a work program, saying that America isn't going to last forever. Well, the way things are going, it's a very fragile federation, and it's almost split apart. In the American Civil War, it may well not last much longer, which is sad because I'm a big fan of the USA. I think it's a great nation, founded on a philosophy rather than just the usual stuff. Who knows what will happen? I mean, whether or hopefully in a post-Illuminati world, the USA will continue as the federation that it is. It may balkanize. There may be the states may go apart. They may form new unions. I don't know. But either way, the America, the North America is a great people with great ideas. Diego, fragments of a comet will hit America after Trump is elected. Now, the comet thing it's a possibility. You remember Carol Rosin? First it's the asteroids and comets, and then the last cars with the aliens. But it's unlikely. It's unlikely. It doesn't quite fit. Tick 1, 2, 3. It's all about the children. The thing to do with the children is probably the biggest secret. I think it's bigger than the lizards. It's bigger than the UFOs. It's bigger than 9/11. The truth about children, it's not only the most explosive secret and the most revealing, it's the most horrible. Definitely. It's beyond anything we can imagine. Even those of us who've looked into it and have an inkling, it's probably worse than we can even imagine. We found out. Jamie, what do you think about adrenochrome? Interesting, isn't it? I mean, it explains so much about the horrible a lot of the horrible things to do with fear, and it's not just the sacrifices, it's the fact that they get people scared, and these people give blood. And people probably have low level adrenochrome all the time, and a lot of them, of course, will be blood donors. Oh, Nihilist says, "Am I the only one imagining Ben in a Taken style plot?" Is that Steven Spielberg's Taken? I love that. That's a brilliant series. Steve says, Steve, could you put your comment on the video in question, please? I'll address it when on my next comment reply video. Okay, just going to go through a couple of these. I think we're nearly. We're going 2.5 hours. I'm getting a bit tired, actually. Do you mind if we don't go for the record tonight, guys? Besides, I mean, the longer the video is, the longer it will take to process, and the longer it will take before I can upload it to BitChute and Library. Although I have the audio, I've recorded the audio on Audacity. If necessary, I could upload it with some illustrations, but I don't want to do that. I really don't. I'd rather have the video and my facial expressions going, ooh, you know, when Diego Rivera says something, I go, you know, and I smile when one of the white pillars like Tink says something, you know. David Schultz, a child in America is 66,667 times more likely to be sold to human traffickers than die of COVID-19. I don't know how you got such a precise statistic, David, but I'm sure it's a lot more, definitely. Diego Rivera says, Biden's a straw man so that Trump wins. You know, Diego Rivera, you really are going to enjoy my US election live streams and videos. You really will. You really will. You'll enjoy them. You will. Tink says, supposedly for 50 days, POTUS won't be declared on the 3rd. No. The deep state is playing for time until January to get Pelosi in via the time rule. Yeah. It's gonna be really. You could just see these two ships on a collision course, can't you, Tink? There's the deep state, and there's Trump, and there's freedom, and they're going. No, it says if the US collapses, so does the world as we know it. Anything that happens in the US has a massive effect on the rest of the world. I mean, the United States, maybe it's not the global superpower it used to be, but it's still a vital node of economic and financial power and influence. So yes, anything that happens there is going to affect us all. Where are we now? Okay, oh goodness me, we're at the bottom. Nihilist Lives Matter says, what about Liam Neeson? You said Liam Neeson's interesting, actually. There's an interesting story associated with him. I mean, what do you mean? Oh, Taken. Oh, right, yeah. Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, that was where he has to rescue someone who's kidnapped or something, isn't it? No, Liam Neeson was accused of racism because he said when he was 17, I think it was his cousin or something was raped by a black man, and he wandered through the streets of Dublin trying to pick a fight with a black man or something, and he looks back on that, he regrets it now, but of course that wasn't enough to stop him getting cancelled. And I thought that was just ridiculous because firstly, it's something from a long time ago. I mean, he's like 60 odd now, and that was when he was 17. And secondly, there wasn't really much of a risk because, well, let's face it, this was I think in the mid-70s, and there weren't many black people in Ireland in those days. So there weren't many he could pick a fight with. I mean, who was there? There was Phil Lynott. I think he was the only. Yeah, I think Phil Lynott was the only one, wasn't he? Was there any others apart from Phil Lynott? I don't know. Oh, anyway, guys, take it easy, David. Yeah, I'm rambling. I'm getting tired now, but yeah, take it easy, David. And Jock of all ages, thank you very much. Oh, thank you, Emma. Much appreciated. Good night. And good night, Tink. Thanks for the white pills. And I do hope you're right. And I think, you know, I feel optimistic. I think Q is real, etc., etc. Thank you very much. Good night. Raven Hill has turned up at the last minute. Hello, night. And Hugo Rune, thanks very much for participating again, Hugo. Yeah, and videos just talking about California. Yes, really great. Yeah. God. No, this lives matter talking about Phil Lynott. No, I'm sure he Phil. He's sure he didn't. He was a good guy. I know. You know, he was a good guy. No, E-man. Sorry, I'm making a joke. It's all right. I'm not. Phil Lynott's not literally the only black man in Ireland. He's one of the few. Night, night, Jock. Night, night, Animal Auntie Bev. See you, David. I'll see you on Telegram, David. Okay. Goodly boy load, says horrible hairy hands. Sorry, toes. I've got the hairy hands on the brain now. You know, do watch my Devon videos, horrible. And it's 60 people watching, but I'm going to leave it now. All right, guys. 2 hours 40 is long enough. And you take care, all of you. And there'll be another video soon. I've got a feeling, keep an eye out, because I might do a live stream about the Julian Assange hearing when we get the results. The verdict's going to be sometime next week, I think. So take care, all of you. Good night, and thank you for watching.